Good evening and welcome to the budget workshop. A special meeting of the City Council of the City of Orange Township held in the Council Chamber, City Hall, 29 North Day Street, Orange, New Jersey on Wednesday, May 29, 2015 at 6:46 p.m. Roll call. Councilman Coley. Councilman Corbett.
Here.
Councilwoman Eason.
Here.
Councilwoman Gaunt Butler. Councilman Johnson Jr.
Here.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
Present.
Council President Williams.
Present.
Also present is myself, Joyce Lanier, City Clerk, Joy Lascari, CFO, Ms. Ohan Lan, Budget Consultant, and Ms. Homer from the Clerk's Office. The requirements of NJSA 10:4-9 et seq., the Sunshine Law, has been met. A public notice was sent to the Orange Record and published with the Star Ledger on May 16, 2015, posted on the bulletin board in City Hall and filed in the office of the municipal clerk. The purpose of this meeting tonight is for council members to hold a workshop session on the calendar year 2015 budget.
Also present are members of the Citizens Budget Advisory Committee, Mr. Griffer, Mr. Meyer, and Mrs. Bradshaw. At this time, we're going to start our budget workshop, and I've heard different recommendations. If at 9:30, we have 15 sections to go through. 15 sections to go through. Council members, do we want to make an agreement that if we're not halfway through at 9:30 that we convene another date?
I say even if we halfway through at 9:30, we still leave.
But just stop at 9:30.
That's what I say. I don't know how the rest of the council
I
feels.
say that. Well, let me go. What's your recommendation?
That at 9:30 we're done.
Councilwoman Easton?
I said 10 o'clock.
Stop.
There you go. The question was 9:30.
Stay on. Councilman Johnson Jr.?
9:30.
Councilwoman Summers Johnson?
9:30.
The 9:30's happen. 9:30 we will stop.
I have enough chocolate to 9:30.
Right. There's enough chocolate for 9:30.
I'm just so excited about this candy, you don't know. little things. Harold is over there licking his fingers.
Council members, a couple of just real quick before I forget. So, our clerk called, and we're going to have the special meeting on
Wednesday.
What's the date? The 27th, May 27th. Council members, there was another resolution that was not walked on that has financial impact regarding the historical, creating the historical committee. The ordinance, right? The ordinance for the historical, us convening a historical committee, which we did pass, but there should have been a resolution to waive the 20 days. And I'm asking council members, and it's yes or no, if you would be okay with that being a part of the agenda. Councilman Corbett, for the special meeting.
Why the urgency to move it?
Financial, to get to apply for.
Well, yes.
For
Grant funding for the Historical Society.
Yes.
And you know, that's interesting because Attorney Smith mentioned that to me last night, that he thought we were going to do that, but I didn't know anything about it, so.
And Mrs. Cooper asked me, but I explained to her that it just could not be a voice. There had to be a resolution to support it, and I didn't want to walk on anything else. So that would be a yes, Councilman Summers Johnson?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.?
Yes.
Okay. And I am in favor. So it will be two resolutions, one regarding the special matter, and then the other one to waive the 20 days for resolution ordinance 22-2015, correct?
Yes.
Okay. With that, we're going to this first section. Councilwoman Eason?
The response, I thought Councilwoman Jamie Summers said she couldn't make Wednesday.
But could you tell me the poll? Yays or
That can come. She's naming the ones that can
come?
attend.
So Coley, Corbin, and Easton can come? And Johnson Jr. can come? And Councilwoman Gaunt Butler's gonna get back to you?
Yes.
Okay. And,
I'm sorry, it was 6 o'clock?
6:30.
6:30.
6:30? You can put me as a maybe. I'm sorry, it's my wedding anniversary. I'm sorry.
oh gosh, that should be enough.
I know. But I don't want to miss it. I don't,
Fine.
revisit.
You taking the top piece out the freezer?
And pending the outcome,
It's 9 years.
and pending the outcome,
But I will make it.
I may not be here because I may have to recuse myself. We're waiting for that opinion from different. Okay, so we got
We're good.
quorum. Okay. Mrs. O'Mara, Miss Megan. Would
Hold on.
could you do the introduction on the first section? Just is there any need for us to go over the first section, or we should go right to section 2?
Section 4, actually.
Huh? So we should go right to section 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first,
Just make an announcement,
Section
Councilwoman Gaunt Butler arrived 6:53.
section 4 is the first section.
I'm just asking, is there any need to go no? So go into
So
section.
everything from 4 to the end feeds section 1. So.
Section 4, council, page 1, and that would be the mayor's office of salary and wages. Are there any recommendations to this page, council members? Councilwoman Eason?
As we go through this, Megan is gonna make the deductions. She's gonna take the notes.
You have a calculator, Megan?
I have my phone.
Okay. Technology.
We were going to remove the contract increases.
To the directors?
No, we on the page 1
Page 1.
of the mayor's office.
Right, and I'm saying to the people that are not contractual.
Well, look, we're gonna go through it page by page. So this page there's
Right.
2.
Mm-hmm. So that would be, the chief of staff and aide to the mayor?
I'm not satisfied with the aid of the mayor getting that much funding.
You're not,
I'm not happy with that. I'm not satisfied with that. I think that's entirely too much money for the aid to the mayor, the aid to the mayor to have. I mean, what are his responsibilities that really warrants $71,000?
I thought we were cutting that job totally. I'm sorry.
okay, that's okay.
Either way,
Make the
okay.
recommendation, let's do it,
That-
yeah.
that
Not
was-
the line item, don't,
Huh?
the line item,
Oh, I didn't call her name.
no, I'm just saying, you want to cut that line item
I
right
thought
there.
that's what we agreed because I gotta,
Okay, let's do it.
because that's not an approved job. So we were gonna cut that job and the other contract increase.
Okay, so we're making a recommendation, and what's the prorated, because you have to go, because some of it was paid. And so, as Mrs., oh Lord, Megan, I can't get your last name out tonight, but as she's doing it, what's today?
No, he
Today is
doesn't.
May,
The chief of staff is making
she
entirely
would
too
go
much.
all the way until May 31st, Megan?
You would
That's
Prorated all the way through May
Some of the
31st?
others,
You
neighboring municipalities that didn't get that kind of
2
money
weeks
paid
after the
for a
notice?
size of $33,
If
$35
so
people.
2 weeks from well, when's the pay, this is a Friday, this is a payday, so,
I don't think the notice would be given until a budget's adopted, right?
but it can be given once the administration is put on notice, so,
Okay.
and that's what I'm saying, so, using the date of, through June 5th. Megan, is that okay? And council members, when she prorates those staff, and with notice being given, it will be through June 5th, that's 2 weeks,
June 5th.
suggested.
Which position is that?
Wait, Council, before you get to that part, Councilwoman Eason?
Oh, I was just thinking, and I was with Councilman Corey because, see, I had a chief of staff and a deputy business administrator. I don't ever see anybody in that office, so I don't know what the aide could.
No,
become.
I got, before you get to your explanations, just so she knows how to prorate, are we saying through June 5th?
Yeah,
Yeah,
through-
yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
that's what, yeah,
That's-
through June
Because
5th.
that is the anticipated date of approval.
the Tuesday prior to that, yeah, okay, so
Right.
through June 5th. Okay, so the recommendation is to take the 875 and, no, I'm sorry, how much is that, 1320, whatever, the 1330,
1328.91, and then this.
the total line.
And then the total line.
So how much will be left here?
You have to repeat that, because
So for Mrs. Cooper, we're removing the names, for the chief of staff,
right.
removing the contractual raise. Okay, see it in the line,
1328.91.
She's sending the number.
got it?
Right.
And then for the the recommendation is that line item be removed, so you just have to leave a prorated amount in there through June 5th. And how much would that be?
She'll,
Go ahead, Mr. Scarra.
my phone's not working. She's gonna, do this later. She'll do the
Yeah, it would be my
calculations
preference
later. We'll
to
just take
just
her
make the
now.
notes tonight and then
Yeah.
do the calculations
Okay,
all at
that's
one
fine.
time. I think it would take too
Okay.
long to
Right.
do it like this.
Last year you were able. Okay, so those notes were made. Are any other recommendations for this page?
A recommendation on the chief of staff. The chief of staff was making this type of salary in 2014.
It's not a. No. What was the 2014 salary?
106,
How much?
106. You got the 2014.
The 2004 bill.
2014 is 106,000.
In the previous administration, it was like 70,000. I want to say 70,000.
That's what I thought.
But you said for 2014, it's right there. The 2014 amount is right there.
Oh, for 2014.
Yeah,
Oh,
106 for 2014.
oh, wow, wow. Where was my little? Great, keep going.
Okay.
What's the bottom line for the department?
Oh, that.
Calculated
They'll
later.
calculate
okay.
later, make notes
Okay.
and calculate later.
So we're taking the 1328.91,
Right.
and then was
Removing
it
the
4 or 5 months, 6 months of the remain of the 70?
through June 5th.
Okay.
Yeah. Going to the next page. Are any recommendations?
Is it operating expenses?
Yeah.
We aren't on any yet.
On the rentals, I got penciled in $361, but I don't know why we cut that. Rentals and leases.
For the water, you have water service, miscellaneous, and event advertisement below it.
Right, and I thought that the miscellaneous was deleted.
The 1,700.
Right.
1,700 is deleted. And event advertisements stayed there.
I don't have any notes on it.
Yeah, I don't know. But isn't that in another budget?
The event advertisements.
Well, this letterhead envelopes, that was supposed to be moved to admin, right?
The letterhead and envelopes. So 1,500 is for letterhead out.
That was supposed to be moved to administration. That's what I have noted.
Moving to the other. So take so you have one thing left in there was the 500. Actually, the 500. If we go all the way to the right, 500 is what is requested. See if you see the total requested, and 500 is all. Is that correct? Under 500 was the only thing requested.
Right. Because the other was deleted.
So
Okay.
it's 4,000, 6,000, 7,000. So the O&E for the mayor's office is 7,000.
But I thought that the letterhead envelopes, printing, and business cards was moved to some other section. Is that not correct, Ms. Muscat?
So that 1,500 was
No,
moved?
It
no.
stays there?
ahead.
excuse me.
Go ahead, no, Mrs.
Things like letterheads and business cards are staying within the departments, but it's all general office supplies that are going to centralized in the administration office,
Okay.
the admin budget.
Okay, so 7,000 for O&E for the mayor's office.
Right.
Are there any other comments, recommendations? Moving to page 4.
What was the final
I'm
decision
sorry.
on that?
I'm sorry,
What was
Councilman
the
Moore?
final decision on that? What are you taking?
7,000.
Okay.
But that's what they requested. See it at the top?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving to page. Councilwoman.
Here's a question.
Under the mayor's section? Yes. Do you want,
Why don't we finish the whole section
Yeah.
and then let them ask their questions? Let's finish the whole section and then you guys can ask.
and if you, so are you gonna be doing administration, Ms. Bradshaw?
Mayor administration.
The mayor administration? Why don't you sit by Councilman Easton so we can do this? But we'll come back, just write your notes, we'll come back. On page, Councilwoman, I'm sorry, page 4, business administrative salary and wages. So it will be the contractual wages
Right.
for the deputy BA. Are there any other recommendations on the salary and wages?
Just for that one, right? You're not taking the contractual one for the administrative clerk, are you? It's-
Actually, she's
can't.
Right, that
labor,
was
right.
my point.
I don't think we can.
No, that's she's labor,
Right.
under the union.
Okay.
We agreed to that. Going down to business administrator O&E, 3,800 was requested. Are there any further recommended changes? No? So moving on to page 7. Regarding the IT person, the contract increase was removed because it's not contractual. And I think we agreed to add 25,000 for a part-time person regarding parking.
No, I have.
Mhm.
Yeah, we reduced it to 45.
Where you at, Council? What are you reducing?
Administrative manager for parking.
Reduce it to 45. Mm-hmm.
And then part-time parking, they said they need to be 20,000 each.
20,000 each.
I only had 20,000 for one.
Well, you could do
One
that.
is there, and then you wrote in the other one?
No,
It's
It was
20,
two
25.
Yeah.
there's two there,
Two at 25.
and I thought we put it at 20.
We did put it at 20 to 2 of them.
Put it at 25.
I got 20.
I got
Okay,
25.
Councilwoman Gordon, you remember is that 1 at 20? Or 2 at 20?
Well, I have one at 20, but
And
it
Coun-
could have been 2 at 20.
Councilwoman Easton, you have 2 at 20?
Yeah.
2 parts of.
So you
Can you repeat that?
So you
Oh,
take it.
for this
For on page 7,
page 7.
for the IT, because it's not a person covered by the contract, that amount is removed. That's $526.50. The administrative manager is taken down to $45,000, and the 2 part-time parking persons are at $20,000.
There's only one in the original
One.
budget, so
One.
you want to add one
Mm-hmm.
and change the other one to 20.
Right.
Okay.
Ms.
Wait.
Scary,
I got 3 vacancies in my book.
you got 3?
You got the
No, because one is
administrative
administrative
manager
manager and 2 are
I
part-time.
mean, I got 3 vacancies, 1 administrative manager and 2 part-timers.
Right.
Right.
No, if you go
Yes,
across,
it's
it's 0.
If you go across,
It's 0.
one of them
it's
was
only
zeroed out
one.
in the original presentation.
Yeah.
Right, that's
Right.
why I had it's only one.
Right. There's only one.
So we only gonna do 1 part-timer?
That was it, for 20.
Okay.
Okay, but this, so,
15,
and we're leaving, so
20.
it should be administrative manager and a part-time partner person, that's it.
25.
Right, the
At
minute,
20,000, okay.
At 45
administrative
and 20.
manager is at 45, you said?
45 and 20.
So 45. No.
Probably is gonna be helpful. Going to page 8. And O&E, $263,700 was the requested.
I didn't have any notes on this page.
Me either.
Uh,
Think we
I
left
think
that
we
alone.
agreed at 263,700.
We agreed,
All right.
Councilwoman Butler, I'm sorry. You have notes?
Yeah, I'm looking, I'm sorry.
Page
Find
9 is a
the
continuum.
No.
So,
And page 10 too, I guess.
Wait, go, Councilwoman Butler.
yeah, it's 9.
So there's nothing on 8 and 9, we all agree there, correct?
Right.
Okay, going to
Nothing on
page
8 or
10.
9, It's 10.
We removed the communication.
Right.
Yep, I got to strike through that.
Yeah, 16.
So that would take that, the just 4,000 under the professional service.
That's correct.
Correct. I got striking on mine.
Going to the Office of the Public Defender. See, what I have is a removal again of the amount under contractual increases. All right, any other on 10 and 11? On page 12, I requested 800 for O&E.
Yep, that's what I have.
And this Human Resource Department was brand new. Page 13. First vacant, was, for the salary was 75 for vacant, well, it just says vacant, and that person says will be paid 75,000
The city has how many employees?
total.
400?
Mr. Scary?
I'm sorry, I don't have that number in my head right now.
The reason I asked is because if we're going to create this department, it has to be justified based on the number of employees we have. I don't think we need 4.
No, we said we were gonna do 4. I thought.
I have
we
one crossed
agreed
out.
on one person and one secretary,
A supervisor, HR supervisor, I wrote.
and one secretary.
That's what I wrote.
So it's just 2 people instead of 4.
Sharon Watkins is already in there as a capacity and has been for a long time. It's already there, so it would be
Right.
actually the 3.
But Ms. Lestari, if we hire a HR director and one secretary, that $20,000 will go away.
I'm not so sure you can take that away from her.
Yes, we can. We added it. We can take it away.
It's
Is there a statute that said
It's-
it created that?
contractual, so
It's a contractual situation.
It's
So
a
she's not
stipend.
no longer doing the
No.
job.
No, it's a contractual stipend, and she's still doing it.
She's still doing the job.
Hmm.
But I thought that was gonna be separate from the business administrator's office. So that means she's gonna relocate also?
I think some decisions will have to be made, but I don't think that it's so easy to just pull that out of there right now without a thorough review of what the contractual situation
Are you-
is.
Well, I guess the question becomes, are you sure that's part of her contract Because when we created that years ago, that was not a contractor issue. That was them giving her a stipend because she was doing the extra work based on her business administrator. So if you can see that documented somewhere, then you can tell us that we can't take it. But it's not
I think it should be
documented.
reviewed.
No, it was
before a
not
step is
documented.
taken.
We just gave her that extra money because she was doing that job. But it wasn't creating a job.
No,
It was
it
just a
created a
stipend.
stipend so you wouldn't have to another person. I
Exactly.
believe it
But
happened to,
that wasn't a contract.
it was through the contract, and I believe it was her and whomever just retired. It was his position too. I can't, in code enforcement.
I don't think so. We need to have the city attorney research that.
Council President,
Council-
I just want to get caught up with all you
Page
seasoned
13.
vets around here. The person that's listed under the business administrator on page 4 is the person in question on page 13.
Right.
And the person that's listed as our deputy business administrator in the normal business administrative function would be the HR person.
No.
I know that person is the same person. I don't know about the, I think,
Somebody else has always done HR in the city?
No,
This
it-
is a new department.
Currently, they have, but it seems to be a state statute that we create a HR department.
Oh, I get that.
So if we do that, it's going to be
I
another.
get-
It's
I
going to be
get
another
that.
body,
I
not
get
not
that,
the
but
BA,
but over-
someone else with the title.
I
of
understand,
HR
but
director.
over the years, who have done
the
the
business
HR?
administrator.
Councilman Johnson, over the years, it was under the business administrator.
Okay.
Sharon Watkins was his secretary.
Right,
And
okay.
Ms. Fuller, who was the business administrator at that time, decided that because she was doing the HR function, they gave her an extra $20,000.
Okay,
As
gotcha,
far as I know, there was no contract.
gotcha. Okay, I'm piecemealing together because I do recognize this young lady that works in the office, but it seems like quite a few people in this building have multiple jobs. Somebody's always got a stipend here and a stipend there.
Because we had the same issue with the EEO coordinator, was getting the extra $15,000. We took that away and put that someplace else. So this applies the same way. So I'm saying when they investigate and find out if that was a contract, then we got an issue. But I don't think it is.
Right,
If memory serves me correct, it was just the mayor and the businessman said we would give her this extra money.
Right, so we'll be trying to establish this new department
Right.
with a manager and a full-time
Which means that $20,000
assistant.
should go towards
That person,
new
correct.
department.
All right,
so.
I'm on board.
Until that, well, so you would only, and this would need this is like a reorganization, but that department would have the two persons in it. Is that what council members are saying at this time?
Correct,
Yeah, just two.
Two persons.
two persons.
And if there's going to be a change to the organization chart, that has to come before the council.
Reorganization, right?
Yeah.
The reorganization. Mhm.
So,
It's not a
so
reorg, because it's never been established.
It's a,
it hasn't been accepted, so you're adding it to it.
right,
At either case, it still has to come before the
for the
council.
council for
I
approval.
agree.
And so it's kind of backwards to me that we're approving the money before we approve the office.
This is true.
All right, then we just budgeting for it. If we
Yeah.
don't use it, then if we don't create it, then the money will be just
Let's-
there for other things.
Let's make
But
sure
right
we
now-
stick to that.
Yeah, but now we're just budgeting for
All
it.
right, I'm just saying, let's make sure we stick to it. We don't want to be hit and say we just hired these two more people for the HR department and nobody came before the council to get that office created.
Yeah. But if
We
we're
gotta stay on our P's
allocating
and Q's
for
with
it,
that one.
if we're allocating before it comes before us, and we're allocating the money, I don't think if the ordinance never comes before us, that doesn't stop them from using the money.
No, that's true.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. That's why I'm saying if we're going to
the
do
cart
it,
before
we
the
really got to
horse.
be on our P's and Q's to make sure that they follow the proper protocol to get this done. How do we do that, huh?
Let me play devil's advocate for a second, because if we're creating a new department and a new manager and then a new assistant clerk or whatever, is $20,000 going to be enough to pay somebody full time, or is this going to be a part time position?
We didn't, we.
And remember, it's for half a year too, also, so.
Well, one of them was 75,000, and the clerk was gonna make 30,000
Right,
for
20.
those two positions. That $20,000, if we decide to take it, would probably go back into the budget to offset something else.
I'm thinking about the quality of the employee you're trying to attract to be this assistant, whether or not that position calls for somebody getting paid more than $20,000.
No, it's a $30,000 job. See the
Oh, so-
30,000 there?
Oh, I'm still focusing down on the Watkins line.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that.
Well, take your focus off of her. 'Cause
Gotcha.
We try to decide.
Gotcha. I put the highlight in the wrong spot.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Senior moment.
You're single?
64.
Are there any other questions about page 13? Page 14 is the O&E.
So are we, sorry.
I'm sorry.
Reducing it to
Go ahead.
105? Is that,
To account,
Yes.
Megan,
Yeah.
council would agree that it's staying, it's being reduced to 105?
Correct.
Council members, yes?
Yes.
30 and 75.
Yeah, okay.
And and just so we clear, and so we're clear, the 20,000, do we think, is it this council, that this 20,000 is gonna go into the 30,000?
Well, we just gotta wait until we get the ruling on that.
Ms. Sarah?
Just a question on that, since she's already worked half the year, are you gonna prorate that reduction?
Well, we have to wait on the ruling. You talk about this person. I think you would have to come back with a memo tomorrow regarding.
Yeah, but I mean, the point is, she's already received half a year of this, so.
So if the ruling is that it can be, if that money can be removed from her salary, it'll be through June 5th, so whatever that amount is, yeah. Probably be half amount, 10,000.
So we need to get legal to answer what the status of that is. Okay.
I'm sorry, I missed this. I didn't
What
understand what was said right here.
regarding the 20,000, are you, because she's already been paid half a year based on, so if legal comes back and says, yes, you can remove the salary, so you would just leave 10,000 there? Because she's already been paid half a year.
I like that. Okay.
Ms. Lanier?
How are we going to prorate it if the department is not created as of June 5th?
Because you would only pay, if
So
the,
who's going to do the job if we haven't created the department?
who is going to do the job?
The cart before the horse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what, yeah.
Council President?
Backwards.
Yeah, it's backwards. It's
Council
putting
President.
the cart before the horse.
Go ahead.
Is this an option for us to keep Ms. Watkins in position throughout the rest of the calendar year and hire a new person for January 2016?
Upon creation, or upon creation?
Well,
Yeah, just let her finish the year out being assistant to whoever this new manager is, and then with the idea that in come January that job is going to be for somebody new for $30,000.
Or,
So just hire the one person for now.
and that's
Right.
the manager. If the,
And the $30,000 job, we set it aside for the 2016 budget,
or just deal with it
Or-
at the appropriate time.
or do it. Yeah, whatever. That's what I'm thinking.
Councilman-
Question, I don't know if this was already addressed, but under the business administrator, where the administrative clerk is already in a position at 64,000, and she's already working on the HR part of that in that office. And so if she's going to move to this other office, why do we need to increase it if she's already doing the work?
Because she's getting this is her stipend for doing that
We're
work.
not increasing.
Oh, okay.
When he
Yeah.
said leave the 20,000, let
Okay.
her finish the year
I got
out,
you.
and then just create one position.
All right.
And what is the
Yeah,
director?
it makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. I just wanted to be sure that she wasn't already getting it in any other department.
If
So we
you
put
look in the 2014 budget, she's getting that stipend. She's in the business administrator office.
Office. Mhm.
Yeah, it's,
Is it the 20,000 or is it less
Yeah.
than? It is the 20,000.
It's been that way
Okay,
for-
all right.
it's
So
been
you're just
that way
counting
for a
it.
number of years. I
So
just
you're just
moved
counting it over here.
I just
Gotcha.
moved it from the BA's
All right.
office to the HR department.
Okay,
Yeah. Same thing,
all right.
Okay.
same 20.
So we take the 30 out and put the 20 back in.
So the 20 stays there and it's
Just
75.
take the 20, take the 30 out, and leave the 20 there.
You have it, Meg?
Yep.
Okay. Moving to page 14,
And that makes it 95.
the O&E. I had requested 8,000 and then we took it down to 3,000.
We did.
That's what I have in my notes.
I have that too. 3,000.
Well, that's for the alcohol beverage.
No, we're on page 14, Councilwoman, on HR O&E.
I only have that we reduced miscellaneous $300.
For page 14?
Yeah. We took the 7,500 for miscellaneous job payment and reduced it to 300. We didn't, so that would reduce the 8,000, which they were at anyway.
Yeah, I have 3,000. I
You have
have
3,000.
crossed out the 8,000 and recommendation is 3,000.
That's about it.
Anybody?
That's
Oh,
And
about
that's
right.
probably
Yeah.
sufficient for half of a year.
Right.
That's
More
about
than
right.
sufficient. Yeah.
So the total amount requested is 3,000. For the ABC board, 5,000 in salary and wages. And O&E is 8,500.
Last question, no, I think we'll do stuff.
O&E is 8,000. Do we have any? I had no changes to O&E. Correct?
For ABC,
Yes.
Yeah, I don't have any.
that looks about right.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Citizens Budget Advisory, and probably we go, if we would allow them to go along, because we're gonna keep going back and forth, but let's just see how it moves. Go, your recommendations, and just take us to the page, Ms. Bradford.
Sure.
Total?
I'm kind of,
Not
see if I can
8,000.
work this way so you can hear me okay?
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
Okay, we're gonna, page 1.
Page 1,
We just have a comment that we wanted to start with. It's a statement. Communications network, we didn't know whether this is the VA or the mayor side, so we just thought we'd put it right up front. We believe as citizens, and after talking to 50 residents too, that nothing of the $59 million should be done until we first determine how much will it cost to get our communication, our network, our email, our IT, our website, our telephone, our basics in place. I might have missed a meeting, but did anyone submit any kind of price on what it would be to just fix this embarrassment we have that's across the board?
Council President.
total communications, not just the network.
just a question.
Phones and everything.
And,
I
Council
missed the
President,
meeting.
let me just state, and for tonight, and I understand what you guys are after, but for the CBAC tonight is, we're going through this budget, and we just need you to recommend the budget. The stuff you talk about, we can't fix right now. We can't even address it because it's a long process. We need to get this budget together so we can get it approved for June 5th. So your comments tonight should be based on what you think we should reduce in this chapter.
Okay.
Yours is a long-range plan, which is going to take a lot longer than sitting here tonight to trying to figure it out. So we're going to ask that I'm going to ask that the CBAC stay focused on what we're doing tonight, what's in this budget, and how you think we can cut it. Okay?
So, but may I ask, the answer is, did I miss a meeting? Did anyone submit
On the
anything
total
close to it?
communication package now.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Cooper, excuse me, Chief of Staff, 106,000. I think everyone here is going to continue with that amount from what we just heard. We are still trying to confirm what Ms. Chief of Staff does for a living here. We've been asking for a while. This is not the time either, so I guess we just won't be able to talk about it. This is our concern. Is Ms. Cooper going to be running the HR department? And did we get a plan about how human resources is going to be set up, established, what was the strategy? Again, it doesn't talk about numbers, but if she's here and she's going to run the HR department, then we need to be aware of that as we look at our budget.
No, because what they're asking for is, right now, HR is in the office that Mr. Willis and Sharon Watkins serve. That round table is the HR department.
Right.
Prior to this administration and Mayor Hawkins, HR was down the hall in its own separate private room, which is where it should be. Because you can't have people sitting at that round table talking about their benefits and business, and you got people parading out of Mr. Willis's office and talking to, so that's why it's going to move, hopefully, back down the hall where it was originally.
Okay.
With the manager and her supporting that manager.
Okay.
All right?
So so we don't know the role of Ms. Cooper yet then in the HR area?
No.
Okay. We're looking at monies. We don't want another duplicate salary. I think that's a fair statement. Moving on to page number, Mr. B.A. You find him. That is page number 4. In 2014, and this might be a question for Ms. Joy, Mr. Willis started at $110,000 for the base of 2014. I've been asking the question, how did his base get to $121,499 when it's just extremely high, and then of course it's going to end up at $123. So I would ask that we make sure we understand how did it get from 110 to 121. Was there a bonus? Was there if you can share that, you can share that with me or us.
I really don't know the answer to the question.
It's a lot of money, and it wasn't a budget, so that's something that we should look through. 110 to 121. Maybe he got another job we didn't know about in between with all the other stipends. Okay, moving ahead on, excuse me, because I was trying to keep up with you. The only comment we have on page 13 and 14 is we have seen in this city that we don't get our paperwork. I'm just following what happens to the council. So we do not quite know, again, the vision of the HR department. Sometimes in human resources, we've been talking to HR managers out there. There's a cost of software. There's a cost to pull everything together that we don't see in this either. So we know it's a new department. We know it's a new vision. We're just hoping that we get some kind of plan other than just a vision out of the darn sky and pop it in there. I think we just heard from the clerk, the cart before the horse before the cart. I want to see a plan more about what HR is. Miss Jackson's in Georgia. She said to me, please let the council members know there are folks in the police department, 3 to 4, that actually do human resources all day long. That might not be the situation, but she wanted to make sure that we were aware that they do human resources 24/7, and there's 2 or 3 of them. They might not even be, again, it might not be the same area, but something to think about.
It can't be, because the HR department in City Hall handles the benefit of the police department just like all other departments. If they are there, they are doing something totally different, because as far as I know, there is nobody in there except the payroll person that was doing the HR piece, and I've been working very closely with them. So there's nobody over there that really does HR. Whatever they recommend or they do, it has to come back to City Hall, to the assistant administrator, and go through HR just like everybody else.
Okay, so there's roles that are there.
Right.
Ms. Jackson will provide those names. She's been there about 30 years. So
She's been in community services for 30 years. Not
yes,
in the
ma'am.
police
We're
department.
just asking the council to consider to think about individuals who may be playing roles of HR in our city as we begin to staff a new department.
And just for the record, the HR department is not something that was just thrown together. They have been talking about it, at least to various council members, the need, the necessity, the state statutes, and so forth and so on about creating this department. It's just now coming to fruition. And it's not there yet, but it just didn't pop up.
Councilman Elroy Corbett, I thank you for that. We know that too.
Okay.
What we have seen since we've been doing the CBACs, there's very little documentation with any specific thing that we seem to be asking for in this community. So I'm asking, as you always do, where's the paperwork, where's the vision, where's a little bit of the plan? And again, not appropriate time because we're talking about numbers. That's all I have for now. Thank you, ma'am.
That's it for the, Councilwoman Barbosa.
Yeah, can I just piggyback on that? She raises a good point about software costs. So it would be my recommendation to the administration, whoever they hire needs to be familiar with that balance point system, because that timekeeping will become an integral part of their function. So that little finger
And balance points of training.
hand.
Payroll, that's the payroll.
Which is why I believe everyone should be using the
Everyone.
clock in and clock out system.
Everyone.
Because this way no one can say, management and everyone else, this way it's a track. And we know exactly how much time you've taken, so forth and so on, there's a record. So when it's time to leave and retire, we know where we are.
We need to talk to our legislature,
To
research
legislate
policy,
that.
and see if we can legislate that.
Right.
Because keep in mind, the council is the legislative body, so we need to legislate that and make sure that it's adhered to.
We did ask them to do that, remember?
But we did it verbally, we probably need to put it in writing.
Okay.
Ms. Bradshaw, you said that's all your comments for section 4?
I'm sorry, I just have one other about Mr. Ali, who's the aide. I think you were going to eliminate the position, not pay the position, I think was decided a few minutes ago.
Yes.
Hey, you want
Okay, and was it, I
back
just
to the
need
mayor's
clear,
office?
Mr.
Oh,
Lally
back
is,
to-
I'm sorry, what, ma'am?
Hey, back to the mayor's office?
Yes.
Okay. So
He was
the
an aide.
position?
It's not about the money, but it's my understanding, is he currently running the communications services department
Community
for the
services.
70,000? And then he said he was replacing Miss Wendy temporarily because she was on project.
Let's not use.
Oh, well, I don't know the names of
Right, I got you.
anyone
So
any
the
longer.
you're concerned about the legislative, the aide to the mayor having dual positions? Is that your concern?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah, if the position's already filled with someone else, yes, in another department.
And you want to add to that, if in fact we do take possession of the current Y, that individual will also be the director of that.
Mrs. Sarah,
Musical chairs.
Mrs. Sarah, do you know, is the current legislative aide is also the director?
I wouldn't put it in those terms. However, he is primarily working to improve the function and what's offered in that department. So he is overseeing in many ways and clearing up. I think what he's doing is actually quite valuable, but that's different.
So he's really
Councilwoman
not
Eason.
an aide to the mayor.
Right.
That's just a holding spot for him to get the money he's getting.
Right.
We really don't know what he's really doing. That's the true story. But they put that in as aide to the mayor as a holding spot. So we're cutting that position because as far as I know, there is no such thing as an aide to the
Right.
mayor.
So it's getting
That's what the chief of staff is supposed to be.
Gotcha.
right.
Okay. That's all I have, thank you.
Thank you. Moving to section 5, the city attorney. Any,
Are we moving all the contract increases except the one for the legal secretary?
right,
That's the only one we're leaving, right?
for, legal secretary, correct.
Council President, to you to Ms. Lascari. Ms. Lascari, didn't we lose one city, one of the city attorneys or assistant city attorneys?
I don't have any information on that.
So to your knowledge, Councilwoman Eason, one of the assistant attorneys are gone?
I'm not sure. I thought we did. I don't want to put that on the record to this confirmed.
So we're okay, other than moving the contractual increase, everything else stays the same? Okay, on page 18.
On O&E,
Employee training, we increased from 1,000 to 2,000.
Correct.
And then down on the law professional services,
right, that's what I was gonna mention.
we increased that from 30 to 70,000.
I'm sorry, Councilman. Oh, did you have an increase on the settlements too?
Yeah, because we
increased the
spent
settlement
144 last year.
from 150 to 250. And then I had a note, 3 computers for the law department, but I don't know where they're reflected here.
Where you got, 3 computers, and it's in the bond ordinance. I have a note that's in the bond ordinance.
Okay.
And professional services, you said the 70K?
Yes.
Are there any other notes, council members? Is Bradshaw, are you speaking on this department as well?
Are you, yes, ma'am. Are we, I just wanted to make sure I'm confirming $70,000 for the professional services and and not the 30, is that what you said?
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay.
And you got the 250,000 for settlements, right?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay.
Does the Citizen Budget Advisory have any other recommendations?
The only other recommendation we have is in that discussion we had with Mr. Smith for the budget for the 144. We changed it to 7 because he actually believes there's going to be 50% less litigation. Is that why we changed it to 70?
PC 144.
The appropriation comparison from 214, 144.
Oh, you mean the 144?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because he was saying, I think I do need that. And he said, well, I wasn't sure. Remember that conversation? So if it's less, that's wonderful. If our litigation is going to be less, that's our professional services.
Well, that's why we added. Well, this year he spent 144, but he was only asking 30. We added an additional 40.
I know you did.
Total 7.
Okay.
So we
So-
leave it at 40.
And that's it. Moving to section 6.
I got a question. We all received, I believe we all received this.
The pilots.
That's what that is. It's only for pilots.
Where you at?
Because on one side it says pilots, then the reverse side it gives the impression of state aid.
I'm not sure. Go ahead, Councilman.
So that's the question. Are we getting state aid?
Oh,
8 million?
where you at?
On the other side of the pilots?
Right.
Right.
What's the miscellaneous revenue?
So you were applying, what we're applying for, remember the question came up, are we gonna apply for?
Transitional aid and state aid are 2 different things. We do receive state aid.
But we did not apply for.
No, we're not applying for transitional aid. That's a totally different thing.
And that was the question I was asking.
Oh, yeah, we
That's
got
good to know.
For the state aid. Ms. Lascari, one of the things that we were looking at in the total revenue sections 5 through 11, sheets 5 through 11, it's numbers. We noticed that because of our corrective action plan, we do not get that much state aid. Do you know that percentage of state aid that we're getting because of our lack of being able to get that corrective action plan better? 60, 50?
No. It's last year was a small reduction of the final payment. It's only of the final payment that there was a small reduction.
Okay, perhaps
Actually,
we can work on
the
percentage
total we
later.
actually received last year was more than what was originally allocated.
Right. And that's what we notice is that the revenue of the $59 million, about $19 million has to be collected. It comes in from your revenue sources, of course, state aid one of them. And we know that 40 million is what the taxpayers are being asked to come up with. So gosh knows, we really looked at this revenue section between section 5 and section 11. And there's quite a few things that I would say continue to look at that, sir, because the 4A on the opposite side of that, it shows you your realized cash and your anticipated. You have 4A on the opposite of that, sir?
What page are you on?
The one that you just spoke. If you flip it over,
yeah,
you have a 4A. If everyone looks at that 4A, I'll just point out one column to you. The Transport of New Jersey pilot. There's probably a reason for that, but it's only 105,000 in realization. Nothing came in. You see that, everyone? Those are just numbers.
What number,
It's in the middle.
4A.
Something like 6 or 7 down.
But what's
Transport of New Jersey.
Transport of New Jersey, just looking at this. And we're looking at the loss of revenue that we did see as we look through the numbers. Of what
I can state that has come in. They say that they sent them, they never were cashed, nobody knows where they are, so they resent them.
So it was not because that they were not billed.
Correct.
Okay. Sometimes folks use that as an
They
excuse.
said they sent them.
Yeah,
Yeah, but no one
Yeah.
received them.
yeah, so we don't know.
checks and not, wire payments and actually send checks?
Yeah, they're checks.
So before we go to section 6, Councilman Corvis, that you started that, just one question. There's a lot of areas that have not been properly billed or revenues that we have not collected. An example would be, and I don't know if it's caught up, the one in Councilwoman Easton, would be like for the police officers, giving their services at Hudson City. Do we have all of those billable items been caught up and collected?
It's a work in progress, and a lot has been collected. Remember, this is not a budget item. This is a trust item. The off-duty police officers, that's an escrow, and it's not a budget item. However, it does affect our cash flow, essentially.
So I think it was the police, were there any other items that were not collected that we?
We had a lot that
But this
bills that weren't
other
being
thing here.
processed, that we hope they're caught up so we don't have anything hitting us later on in the year.
No, we're
That's
getting a
fine.
much better handle on that issue.
You got it much better, so the bills
Oh,
are
yeah,
getting
yeah.
processed and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
While we were on the Transport of New Jersey, so by the time we get ready to complete this budget, that number will be filled in?
No, we will not be able to fill that in because you cannot anticipate in the 2015 budget what you have not received in the 2014 budget. So because we did not receive it in 2014, we cannot anticipate it in 2015.
it'll
So
go
we
into
will receive it.
2016?
We will receive it in 2015, and
Just
we will
don't
be
know
able
how
to
much.
anticipate in 2016.
So how does
So-
that
so-
affect
Let me
the
just ask- let me
L&M
just finish the
development
question.
partners?
If we get the money, couldn't, like Ms. Cooper said last night, couldn't you apply to the state to apply it to this budget?
We could look into that.
Let's ask Ms.
I think-
Yeah, if you actually have received it already, you can certainly include it in the budget.
Right.
We'll
So we
try to
could-
do that.
Yeah.
That's a good plan.
And if the
And that
state
was my
says,
question. I'm
Mhm.
sorry. For
No.
L&M development partners? Because we didn't receive anything in 2014, but it's anticipated in 2015.
With L&M Development Partners, that was a brand-new pilot in 2014, so it could not be anticipated in 2014. It was received as a MRNA, or miscellaneous revenue not anticipated. But once it was received in 2014, now we can start to anticipate it in 2015.
And so there's no special application to the state to...
No.
Okay.
So Megan, so if she gets the money, she can include it.
Right, because likely when you try to insert a revenue like that, the state will request some backup documentation, and you would just provide them a copy of the check you received, and then they'll allow you to include it.
Okay.
And Council President, just one quick other thought.
Mrs. Bradshaw?
Our Lady of Mount Carmel, the first one on page sheet 4A. Just a question, Ms. Joy. 128 we thought we were going to get, but we only got 64. So again, as you trained us, it could only be realized for 215. Do you know what happened to the other $60,000 or so from from Our Lady?
I think I looked at that one after we had our training session with the CBAC. I think that what happened on that one is that in 2013 we received a 2-year lump, and when the budget was created for 2014, we failed to recognize that the amount that was received in 13 was not reflective of a typical 1 year. So that was it really should have been only anticipated at 64 in 14. So it's kind of being corrected to this year.
Mrs. Gary, what about our pilots for the Orange Housing Authority and their redevelopment or any projects? Have we collected all the money from them?
Well, every pilot that we have is listed on this sheet. So
Walter G Phase 1 and 2.
mm-hmm.
And there are no other sources of funds from the Orange Housing Authority that we should be receiving?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah, that particular line item, Council President, is it's a $13,000 difference in what's anticipated. And what was driving?
I think
what was
we were
driving
short
the
in collections
anticipate?
from Walter G in 2014, to tell you the truth.
In 2015, you mean?
And 14.
2014. That was overstatement.
Which again ends up impacting. When I'm working on preparing the brand new user-friendly budget that will be included when we have the final adoption. And so I'm looking at this very closely because here's a whole page just for pilots.
Well,
More detailed information on the pilots.
with regards to Walter G, when they have been behind in their payments, and I have gone to them and asked them why, they've always gave me the answer that they haven't been billed. So could that be the reason why there's a $13,000 difference?
Yeah, it could be. I currently have someone who's able to dedicate to that. So
Okay.
last year we did not have somebody dedicated to do that.
All right.
I'm trying to see,
What was that?
which of these projects are RPM? Grand Central, South Essex, those are the only two? Washington Dodge, and 400 Oakwood. Okay.
I'm sorry, Council President, just one more thing.
Yes, Ms. Bradshaw?
Thank you very much. Joy, I want to confirm something on the last item, page sheet 4A, franchise fee from the cable TV.
Mm-hmm.
The 85A that you show as anticipated, is this indeed the monies of $75,000 that you'll be taking out of this to place towards the YWCA?
No, that has nothing to do with this.
The 75 grand?
No.
Okay, that won't come from there?
No, this
Oh,
is
you know what?
this
It's
is
the
a specific.
reservoir. I'm on the wrong section.
Yeah, this is
I'm
a
on the wrong
specific.
section. That's right, never mind.
Revenue.
I'll be asking that when we get to the other section.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just wanted to point out to the council something I thought was amazing on sheet 6. If you could explain, Ms. Lascari, item number 3.
We have to go to sheet 6.
Sheet
Yes, just the
6.
very next sheet.
I don't know where you are. You lost me.
It's
Sheet
in
6.
section 1.
Thank you.
Section 1, sheet 6.
The first 44 pages. It starts with sheets. What I wanted to ask, if everyone's there, is I saw that we realized we expected 327, I think, thousand. We got the 631.5 in, and you're going to anticipate 630 for this year. What wonderful thing happened to give us about 300,000 more? a good thing, right?
Yeah, in the past, the city utilized outside agencies for their inspections, for their, fire inspections, all the different codes. We've since we have within our staff now our own inspectors. And so rather than keeping those fees that are from those inspections in the escrow account, in the trust fund, and paying a portion out to the actual inspectors, and we only keep a small portion for ourselves, all of that comes into ourselves. In some ways, it's offset. The revenue is offset by the fact that we're paying our employees to do the inspections. But it does, it is good that we have the revenues. They're coming into the city.
Thank you, Council President.
Moving to section 7, which brings us to
Inspections.
section 7.
You went on 6.
Oh, I thought we finished 6. Oh, City Council? Yeah.
My recommendation on page 21 is that you cut all those salaries.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry about that.
It's true. Exactly. You make a good point there.
It'd be like South Orange and be volunteer trustees, huh?
That's right.
Right.
You had to correct, you had the corrections, I see.
Yeah.
Main corrections.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Jeannie.
Don't worry, it's correct on the payroll, and that's the only place it really matters, right?
And Juan.
Moving to page 22. Even though we had requested 162, the administration took it down to 130, but in actuality, they didn't make any recommended changes, so it stayed at 162.
So that's staying at 162?
Right.
Okay.
And now we're going to the city clerks. Salaries.
We only added one thing, and I guess that's going to be prorated.
Then next year it's going to be reflected quite differently.
The clerk.
Yes.
Okay, so the clerk, the annual salary is 86,000, Megan. And the clerk typist is, everything else is same, other than that. Going to the O&E, Mr. Mayor, if you want to,
That was the only point I had about the salary, but,
what, with the 86,000?
right.
Okay.
I think that the 70 that's budgeted is adequate for the proration because you didn't start at the beginning of the year.
But just, it's just 70 in terms of this budget but this, for no, the annual salary should be 86,000.
Yeah.
Going to the O&E.
Printing and binding, I noticed that the codification, I'm sorry, printing and binding, 25, wasn't included, and the codification hadn't been paid for 2 years. We owe them $11,000, and it runs about $5,000 a year.
Where is that?
Yeah.
Where are we
What
under?
section are you on?
Page 25, printing
Okay.
and binding.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm sorry, page 24 was fine with
Okay.
the recommended changes that I have penciled in that I guess you discussed the last
We
time.
reduced the $1,000 to $600 on clerk office and material supplies.
No, we left it.
We left it at 1,000.
We left it at 1,000.
Because of the paper.
Yeah.
And then the
And
publication.
clerk's dues and publication.
450.
450.
450. And where is the piece you talking about?
Next
On the next page.
Before you move to that page, I've made the suggestion. I keep making the suggestion. When you talk about stationery and office materials and supplies, I think it would be a wonderful thing if the administration for the city, as well as the administration for the Board of Education, could get together and try to figure out a logical way that we can consolidate that piece of the business for both entities. Might be a safe. It's been, we've had conversations even when we had the previous Mr. Mason, but they never went to, those conversations never really went anywhere.
They got as far as getting a letterhead, but the board never quoted the price for that.
So we need to go back to the table with those conversations.
Well, the issue becomes home rule. Who controls it? I'm not so sure you're gonna get the board to buy into it because they operate really separate from the city. And for them to have to go back and forth with that, I don't think that is going to ever realize.
And we purchased our letterhead for them?
See,
Well, what they had suggested was is we let them print it at the Board of Education print shop.
yes, it'd be a cost savings
But
to
it
us.
cost, we paying them to do it.
Yeah. But I was over there today, and I don't know, before we even look at that, we gotta look at that print shop because it's not run the way it was when Mr. Markel was there. Remember Markel? So they have some issues there right now.
I still believe we should have those conversations, and somebody needs to be the adult and decide how we're going to make it work.
Well, Mr. Neal can have a conversation with Mr. James
There you go.
and see if the quality is apples to apples.
You got it.
Thank you.
So we're down to professional services.
Well, first, I didn't understand.
That's what we're coming down to, what
She
what
said
she's
her-
saying on the printing and binding. And that's under.
So we're on page
that's on
25, the second one in.
You want us to add what now?
It should, no. It was there are two bills that are unpaid, and it totals $11,000. On average, the codification costs $5,500 per year. I see it's budgeted for $2,000. It's not enough to codify the ordinances
And on an annual basis.
on an annual basis.
And so, you already have 11,000 outstanding,
Yes.
so do we put that in here, Mrs. Scott?
I would say we would have to put that in there.
So it'd be 16,500.
Are we on professional services?
Printing
Binding.
Print and
Now
binding.
we're going to advertising.
Reso ordinance
Ms.
and
Lanier, before you, do you know why those bills weren't paid?
I have no idea why they weren't paid. I called the codifier because the first question I asked was, where's the bills for codification when I looked at the budget? And the codifier said that she had not been paid. So I asked her to resend me the bills.
So advertising, we had moved up to 12,000. You have that note?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And then professional services, we have at 25,000.
I have at 25,000 as well for the scanning and storage, and then Central Jersey Video,
Is that sufficient?
12,100. Yes.
And then for reporting services,
100.
sufficient.
Yes.
Contractual services, 4,000. Why do we bring it up to 4,000?
4,100.
4,100.
Yeah, we have 4,100.
But it's 1840. Well, what? 4,100. I'm sorry. Is that enough? What was the 4,100? Anybody have any notes?
New microphones?
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, the microphone.
Was that really the microphones, or did the microphones just come up? That was really
That
considered.
was really for the microphone.
4,100.
I trust my notes.
No, I'm just, because I know, said email, microphones, 4,100. Was that sufficient based on your conversation?
Yes, it's $280 per mic.
300 times 7 is
2,100.
2,100. Plus 18 is 30. And selection, 10,000.
That's fine.
That's fine. Ms. Bradshaw?
No, thank you. No comments.
Moving
You don't want to hear it.
Moving to page 7, inspection and licensing, salary and wages. We have to. Contractual increases, contractual.
Were we removing the contract increases there?
These are all contractual positions.
Now, can I ask the question to Ms. Lascari? If the fireman is
Motion to adjourn.
We out of here. Second.
For the record, Chloe walked in at 10 o'clock.
Right. Without pizza.
Exactly.
I just came from my daughter's toast off.
Okay. We had pizza.
I would have brought everybody.
Oh, God.
Oh, she was there. She was there.
She's been here hours.
When I had guests at the house, I couldn't leave my guests.
Oh, my God.
Sorry.
My mother came out the house. My mother came out the house today. I called my mom up and I told her that the grandbaby crying.
Why?
My mom forgot a cane. That's how sad she was. She forgot a cane.
Okay, for the record, Councilman Coley came in at 8:01.
And his mom forgot her cane.
She forgot a cane. I tell you.
You can't make this stuff up.
I had plenty of shrimp for her. Cocktail sauce, just like she liked it. I tell you.
You're
Okay,
a good boy.
we're on section number 7.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Section number 7.
So, yeah, there you go. All right, Clark. All right, Clark. Get him in line, please. All right. Clark, get him in line, please.
Thank you.
I have a question. If a fireman is our fire subcode official, why would they be entitled to a contract increase when they're getting paid by the fire department also? And they're getting contractual increases there?
I don't think you, yeah, no.
One is a lay position, Councilman. Two is retired. Is fire sub-official?
I don't believe he's a fireman.
Huh?
I'm looking in the firefighters to see if his name is in here. I don't believe
Anthony
so.
Silvata was a fireman.
Was. He's
Or
not
has
a,
he retired?
guess what's,
He was. He's
Isn't
retired.
Anthony Silvata a fireman?
I don't know. He's a fire subcode official.
But those are the type of things, Ms. Lascara, I hate to say this, that you guys should know.
Well, maybe other people in the department know, but I don't.
His name is not listed in the salary.
He's, I just looked in
I
the
believe,
fire
Council
department. He's
President,
not a firefighter at the current time.
So,
I believe he retired.
he's a retired fireman, okay.
Yes.
So he retired, so why would he be entitled to a contract increase?
What, that, is this position?
Under this position?
Is this position a part of Amoeba's?
I don't know.
Okay, so you have to find out if it's Amoeba position.
We have two there, James Fonzino.
Are you representing Amoeba?
We have two, him and James Fonzino. So are we removing the contractor increases for this?
We have to find out if they're Amoeba position.
No, I mean for any of the people here.
That's what I said at first. It looks like they're all Amoeba positions. I'm looking. Could she repeat her question? Councilwoman Easton, if positions have not, some positions non-contractual and directors gave themselves a raise when it had not come before this council. Only persons at this time who have been given raises are the Amoeba members. And Councilwoman, based on that, Councilwoman, as we've done in all the other sections, asked are we removing the contractual increases, but we're not sure if the fire sub code officials are covered by Amoeba. But it looks like everybody else is under the Amoeba contract.
Well, Councilman Williams, I don't think you can belong to two unions anyway.
Oh, yes, you can. Definitely you can. But they're retired. The firemen
But they
that you're
still would be part of the firemen's union.
a retired member?
Yeah.
No, they're not. No.
That's,
The
my
there's
husband worked for General Motors, and he's still part of he's a retiree trustee, and he still has the same union benefits.
okay, they negotiated that in their contract, but you can belong to two different unions. But
Yeah, but I said we need to
Yeah.
check that out just to make sure.
so as fire sub code officials covered by the OMEBA is the
Okay,
question.
I have my question
Okay.
there.
And it looks like everybody else are contractual members. And I have notes, 35-hour met something. So
$35 an hour requested for
mechanic.
all of the subcode officials. It looks like.
Okay, thank you. I'm like to read
Well, I'm
my
just
notes.
trying to read my
Yeah.
notes too.
So it would have. So the 30.75 per hour. I believe in Mr. Mays said that that's below the standard, and he's requesting that they all be brought up $35 an hour. And then I have a note about a zoning official as well. You have any notes about zoning official? Anybody have any notes about zoning?
I have a note that we have already.
Oh, Mr. Webb's position needs to be.
It needs to be funded in here.
So do you see? We need to put it.
He's not. Yeah.
His wouldn't be here. That would be under the code enforcement.
This
And
is.
he was getting a stipend for zoning official. So he should be listed under.
But do we need to put a zoning official in here? That's what,
No, I'm saying let's look at Mr. Webb first.
okay, we'll stay here first. Okay, we'll come to that. So this page is okay?
Except that we want to calculate the 35 and check on the one unit.
Right. So do we agree at bringing these positions up to $35 an hour? Hello, council members? No response? Okay.
I guess my question is, what would be the total sum of increasing those for the rest of the year?
We'll have to calculate it.
We have to calculate that. Okay, so the,
Are you laughing at my question, Councilman Lisa?
sure, you're on it.
You're boring her.
So there was,
Well, I guess it really comes back to the Curtis Webb issue. Where did she think it was? Where, Ms. Eason, did you feel like that's supposed to go? If not here, if this is where he was always paid before?
No, he's not listed under what we just went over.
No, it's correct. He's not.
Curtis Webb was a code enforcement officer.
Correct.
First. He was getting a stipend for being a zoning official. So I'm looking to see if he's under code enforcement.
this is code enforcement.
This is code enforcement, and he was not listed in this one because the data that was given to the person who prepared this didn't include him. And when I was reviewing what has happened so far this year, I wrote in on my sheet that we need to fund.
Well, let's look
Field
at
representative property
59.5.
improvement is a code enforcement.
Huh?
The field representative property improvement is the same as the code enforcement.
But I'm saying, he was getting a stipend for the construction official. So
Zone.
let's look on the construction, let's look at code enforcement,
This
since there's a stipend there.
This is the
This
code
is
enforcement page. That's what I'm saying. This is
Where?
where he would be. The page
Well, I thought that-
28.
Page 28.
No, that's not code enforcement.
Field, if you look at field representative property
Do
improvement,
you see Kafani there?
Yes,
Where you see Kafani?
at the top of the page.
Top.
Yeah, it's the top page.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's
Okay.
spaced up so high you can.
Yeah.
And that's what we asked Mr. Mays, and he said the field representative property improvement is the same as the code
So
enforcement.
where was Curtis Webb? His job should have said vacant, shouldn't it?
But they didn't put it in there. That's what it was omitted. So it needs to be put on this page.
Right.
Because Director Mays said he needed another code official, right? Is that why we
Well, they
added
have
it?
three. They have three.
But we have to put Webb back in there because that position was omitted out of here in error. So let's put,
But remember,
And it was already paid.
Director Mays said he needed another
right,
code enforcement aide, so that he would have one per ward.
right.
Yeah,
Now they doubling up.
So now he only has 3, so we need to add an additional one
Okay, let's,
and give him the stipend for construction official.
well, wait, let's make the department right. So,
Oh, you
Miss-
have a construction official now.
Yeah.
right, but,
Paul.
but
So-
no, the Curtis
It's the
Webb,
zoning officer.
yes, Curtis Webb should have been on this page, correct?
Correct.
And he had been paid in 2014 out of this budget.
Correct.
Do you know how much?
He, who has the 2014 binder? And I can tell you what he was paid this year
Yeah, that's what I'm
already
saying. How
for
much
his
was he paid this year? Webb.
59,427.03.
In 2015, he was paid 59,
427.03.
59, 427.
2703.
His base for 2013 was 6859.
68,000?
60,
60.
859.
What
Council
is it to
President,
the
what-
right
what-
of the page?
I think we need to leave that until we have Mr. Mays tell us.
He did. He did.
Yeah, but these are all different things.
Have him tell us if he really needs a zoning and a construction official, or is a construction official doing the zoning also?
Councilwoman, let me just, the page is wrong. They left out the Curtis Webb's off of this page, and he'd already been paid out of 2015.
Okay.
So he was paid $59,000 in 2015. So that has to be included in here, but now it's vacant. Up until his retirement, he was paid $59,000. What day was his retirement approximately?
I'm sorry, I don't have that with
About
me.
what month?
He retired in December?
So he was, but he was.
His final pay was paid out this year. The total amount that he was paid this year was $59,500.
Okay,
Okay.
got that.
That has to be added to this budget, yes.
Yeah.
But you sure that wasn't some of his vacation days?
Yeah,
and
that's,
stuff?
that, you have to budget for that. When you have those payouts, you have,
But it's not included in his salary. That was extra money that he got. His vacation days would be accrued. What was his salary amount?
I don't understand your question. Look at
What
the,
was
do you have
his
the
base salary
2014?
amount?
Do you
Do you
have
have the 2014 book?
He has it.
I do.
Yeah.
See what his base
You said
salary amount
2013.
was.
What was his 20?
Look at the right-hand side of the page
You want
to
to
see
see
his
it was the same in
2014.
2014. $60,859.
That's his base salary, right?
Base.
Okay.
60,000.
So,
So if his base salary for the whole year was $60,800, and we were only up until May 5th, he couldn't have made $59,000 already.
That's his severance pay.
That's what I'm
That
saying.
his ending pay, but still has to be budgeted. When somebody leaves, we have to budget for that amount that we have to pay them. He was paid that out of this department, which is the department he worked in.
We understand that, Ms. LaScavia. For the purpose of what we're doing, we're looking at a vacant position that we, salary amount over, not severance pay, that he was paid up until this point. So if we ever want to fill that position, we're looking at the base salary, right?
Correct. So what we want to do then is, besides adding
1 second.
that person, we also have to add a vacant position for that amount.
So
Yeah,
you
that's
could,
fine.
Okay.
so you will leave
so just-
Webb and then make another line and make vacant. Okay. And then the vacant position would be the field, good Lord, code enforcement, which is a field representative property improvement person.
I'm sorry, can you explain it once you work it through? I need to understand
So
exactly
for your
what you're saying.
budget, for your budget purposes, Curtis Webb was omitted. And in
Okay.
2015, he was paid $59,500.
Got that.
So you just want to put that there. But you, and then you want to put another line for vacant. Because Director Mays, which is
With-
not.
At the 60,000.
I don't know, we didn't get that, we didn't discuss that yet.
Oh, okay.
So that was based on, one, maybe filling his position, and also the need for, a
Zoning official.
zone, no, the code enforcement, for a fourth code
Got it.
person, okay?
Okay.
And so that code enforcement person should be paid, I'm just trying to see, 53, and who else is a code enforcement?
It's Sandra
42.
Mendez.
I'm sorry, who?
Sandra Mendez.
Yeah, and so she's at 42.
Isn't she the West Ward Council or code enforcement person?
42. So put the vacant person in there.
But you know, we had another person
She just
like
passed the
that
test.
in the mayor's office.
Yeah, she's the third code enforcement person for the. That's what they're looking for.
But the vacant person would be field representative property improvement.
Did you
Number
look
4.
at the same exact? It follows the same examples as you did for the mayor's office. Samantha Bain, her base was 40,000. Her final pay was 300, and then the vacancy was the confidential secretary. So that's the same thing you're doing with Curtis Webb.
Right.
His final salary at
59.
the end, and then you create a vacancy with the base salary.
Right.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
That's just the same example.
Yeah, that's what we're doing.
And so what would be the base salary?
She said last year was 60,000.
But that's a tenured employee. What would you do it for? Entry level.
What's the
What is-
salary range?
That's what I'm looking. We don't
They
have.
started with.
I mean, you have to go to the title and the salary.
Right, yeah.
Not from this page.
No, I'm not looking at the pay. I'm just saying what to
Right.
write in, to vacant. In
Council
2014, was there any vacant for a code enforcement last year?
Yes,
Yes. Go ahead.
David McCord.
And how much was
It's a brand new employee.
Now she said a vacancy. For
But a brand new,
2014.
and it was 55?
But then again,
You know what I'm saying? He started out higher than Kafani.
Yeah, well, that was, yeah.
So you can't use that as a basis. They started
Well-
him off higher than Kafani.
Did David McCoy come from another municipality?
Yeah,
Yeah,
can
he
you
did it.
restore
He's
it?
on.
In Newark?
EEO.
You know what I'm saying? So
That needs to be a personnel matter.
for the new human resources person.
Maybe for our purposes here, we could give like a reasonable guesstimation for a half a year and budget for that,
well, I'm looking at.
25?
based on the average of what's here.
Not New York.
I'm just saying, they don't have New Jersey, it's more.
So 25.
New York is all out.
I think that would be reasonable.
25,000, so 25.
I have a question. Is that Kafani, is he new?
No.
Oh, no.
2006.
David McCord is.
Right.
Okay. Oh, I mean, yeah.
So now you would have Kafani, David, Sandra, and the fourth person.
Do we know if Sandra's salary was increased since she got
Mrs. Karen?
promoted to code enforcement?
That I do not know.
So can we find that out?
Hasn't been increased.
You have to,
I know that it hasn't been increased. That's her old salary.
that's a,
That's her salary from the title that she was in before.
but I'm saying is it current?
Yeah, it's current.
Just current? Okay. Okay. Mm-hmm. No. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. My question was, are these civil service titles?
They should be.
And are they not regulated by the civil service and the salary range at civil service?
No, salary range would be the local salary range.
But it has to coincide with what the civil service is saying.
Okay.
The other question was,
Go ahead, Councilwoman Eason.
how is it possible that it was just everyone that comes in under this new administration, where the new off the street always come in at a higher salary than the previous employees? How is that possible?
That was a question of the
Is it experience?
CBAC and it's,
Is
And
it
that-
what?
Is it experience is what I'm saying? Are they coming, if they're coming in with that title from another town, is that being considered?
That's the question.
Because a starting teacher, I mean, just because I start in that town, if I come in with my years, I get started on a different range. I come in with my years. and
but not
that's what it is.
necessarily equivalent to somebody, so if you come in to North District and you're bringing in 10 years of service,
Oh, I go on a 10-year scale, doesn't matter if
because
somebody-
they're working right off of the pay
off-
scale
right
and
off
all
the
that, pay scale.
So
And that's what
I'm trying to say, I don't know how that
And
works.
it also goes by what degrees and certifications
Exactly.
you have.
Exactly.
And we have to update our salary ordinances. We only updated it for the directors and not for all of the titles in the municipality.
Council President,
And that was given out, Councilman Johnson.
if I may, before I lose my train of thought, to Sandra Mendez again, does that create a vacancy for the clerk typist bilingual? Does her becoming a code enforcement person, does that create a vacancy, or that job disappears?
There is.
Because she's code enforcement.
She was when she moved over to that position, she was getting paid as code enforcement as an officer because she was doing that job even though she had not passed the test. The only thing that has happened now, she has passed the test, but she was getting paid at a code enforcement salary.
But
No,
now
I'm talking,
Change the title.
but it's the clerk typist. I
I said
mean,
they're probably going to change her title now.
So does
does it create a vacancy?
Because she was a
The question is, does it create a
but she's
vacancy
code
for a clerk?
enforcement officer
Not
already.
her. Do they need another clerk typist in there?
No.
They have one clerk typist bilingual.
Okay, so it'll disappear.
Bilingual.
Yes.
Oh, that's what I'm trying to drive at. And then she'll become code enforcement.
Council President,
It's called creative positioning.
I don't.
Councilman Coley.
You came with that
How
terminology all by yourself.
How can this governing body?
I'm sorry, Councilman Coley.
I'm just trying to get a grasp on what just happened or what the conversation. What Councilman Johnson just said that she changed her title from clerk typist. Now she's the code enforcement person.
Field representative.
But now, I would think that it's up to the administration to say that that title that she just vacated will be obsolete or not the governing body.
I would think that it's up to the administration to change her title, number one, and decide whether or not they're going to fill it or leave it vacant.
Right, so we can't say that that title is not going to disappear.
Right.
We can't say that.
Correct.
We can say that because they already have a clerk typist in the position that supports code enforcement. She moved over with that title because at the time she didn't have the certification to carry the code enforcement title, even though she was doing the job, but she was my code enforcement officer.
So what you're saying, they hired another person
No, the
while
person
she was in
already
it?
existing. They
Is
already
this-
had a clerk typist.
Gotcha. All right, I
And
see
which is
another.
Miguel?
Yeah, I see another person there. Gotcha. Just for the record, Councilman Coley and I had a meeting with Director Mays, and we were told by Director Mays that what's his name? The guy that heads the water department.
Chris
Chris
Mobley?
Mobley.
Chris Mobley supervises the code enforcement. Marty doesn't. This is out of the mouth of Marty Mays. So it's a whole bunch of stuff going down. You can't get answers out of anybody. He deflected a lot of questions from us that we need to talk to Chris Mobley about. And that was specifically just for code enforcement.
But, and Mr. And Megan, you added the 59,000 to that salary and wages?
Yes.
Okay, so that you'll give the calculation.
Council President?
Plus the, I'm sorry, and then we didn't put a number, and plus the vacant, yes, 25,000. Yes.
You had referred to this, and I just wanted to reference it because you asked, the March 6, 1995 staffing. You did, just to give you that information, your official zoning officer, as old as this is, your minimum is 38,330 and your max is 50,000. That's just, you're asking, so I thought I would share that since we had it here.
For the
This is
zoning?
1995.
Ooh, that's 20 years ago.
What are you I'm sorry, what are you referring to?
The, you have passed out.
Oh, that old salary ordinance,
The
right?
old set, but this is the most current,
One.
what's old.
It needs to be updated, okay.
We're gonna do
All right,
70.
going in an inspection and license,
We started at
Go inspection license, going to O&E. I don't see any changes. And flipping to page 30, only change I have under advertising is 350.
Where's this Star Ledger?
Yes.
You changed that to 350?
I have a note for changes to 350.
I have the 355 and I had this one dropped down to 72.
Okay, so
60.
okay, that could be 355. So the advertising 355, and then equipment went down to.
I think it was because it was an adding area.
But it should
Yeah.
read
It should be 7260.
$7,260 under equipment.
7,000.
260. Keep that note for me.
Yeah, I'll make sure that
Okay.
we coordinate.
Equipment.
We'll duplicate each other's work. That way we make sure we get it all in.
Going to page 31, Uniform Construction Code, salary and wages. I don't see any changes. And going to page 32, I see that.
Council
Council
President, just a quick question. We have UCC official construction at 57.5, right?
Right,
The same person we have on page 28
right.
at what, 58,218?
Wait, he's on page what?
28.
20.
So is he making 100 and some thousand a
No, I
year?
think it's
No.
split, if you gotta look at it. So 31 and we were at 28, so 28.
If you see the minus 57.5, the net over at the end on
12,000.
page 28 is 12,446 applied to this department, and the UCC on the other is the
Well, you have
57.
him, his base salary at 58,218 for that position as construction official.
But the net out of this department is all the way to your right.
12,444.
So
he's
he's getting a
making-
balance somewhere else?
And then
So
next,
he's making 57,000
on page 31.
Total.
plus the $12,000.
No. Yeah, 57 plus the 12. It's just that if you take the full amount for the 2015 base, plus the 3,500 stipend, plus the 7,500 stipend, minus the 57.5, which is only being charged to another line item.
Okay, you got it? Okay. So going back to page, on page 32, that contract increase, the only persons that should be getting it are the senior planning aide, secretary board commission, and the clerk typist. So 885.94 out of the deputy director. And from, and I know it might, the principal planner, is that under,
I'm not sure.
and we can check on the principal planner. And I have next to no stipend by Mr. Okay, and then going to O&E, I don't have any changes on page 33. None on 34. None on 35. On 36, under employee training, I have plus 535. So it should actually be 735 or 740.
Yeah, I think we're keeping the 745
Keeping
and
the
crossing off the
740
400.
Yeah, keeping it 745. You got that?
On 36?
Page 36, under employee training, keeping the 745. Nothing on 37. Nothing on 38. I have nothing on 39.
I have
39.
employee training licensing, 250. So that would have, the note would indicate that that would have to go up to 950.
So on page
Employee
39,
training.
employee- be
Employee
950,
training, what?
950 total.
Instead of 700?
Mm-hmm. Page 40. No changes. 41. No changes. Page 42.
Another quick question.
Councilwoman.
Jeanette
Mm-hmm.
Calderon Arnold
Mm-hmm.
is the second, is the,
Legal counsel.
and she's getting paid under the city attorney. Why wouldn't that be one and the same?
Exactly. We did have that question back at the budget.
Mm-hmm.
We did.
Why wouldn't that be one and the same?
Can you check that, Mrs. Scary, please?
Well, just off of the top of my head, I would say, you know, some of these people who are serving as board secretaries for these boards, this is in addition to their other salary working in their other departments. I don't know if that would be any different
Attorney.
for an
Shouldn't
attorney.
apply to a city attorney. We need to actually look at that.
Well, before, she was being paid out of O&E for the department, but because she is an employee, she cannot be paid out of O&E for the work that she does for the board, and that would be the reason why she would be paid under
No.
salary and wages.
Before she was a
Because when she
contract.
came on board, she was only the planning board attorney, red level board attorney.
Mm-hmm,
Then she became, after that, a city attorney.
mm-hmm.
So I'm saying that should be one and the same. If you were gonna make her, if he was gonna make her the city attorney, then part of her duties should include it. Rent level. That's all I'm saying. We need to address that to Mr. Smith.
Okay.
So 4,000. Page 42. I don't show any changes here, do you? 43. Let's see, you have professional service here for rent leveling board attorney on page 43 too. And a hearing officer.
And here it says attorney is on city staff paid through payroll.
Oh, and so yeah, to the right is only 1,800.
Mm-hmm.
Page 44. Historic preservation.
Is that a new group we're creating?
Yep.
Just did last night, Councilwoman. We created it. Now we're trying to fund it.
I got some time. I can do one of the jobs. I'll take a $5,000 job.
That is possible. That could be grant money. Is that true?
For the salary and wages?
Yeah.
I'm not sure salary and wages can be from grant money. That'd
Well,
be
they do it with the police department and fire department with the safe
But
grant.
that's a specific grant for salaries.
Could be for this too.
It would have to be a specific, but you still wouldn't do it, you wouldn't budget, you would refund it, but, because you still, Safer Grant, you still have to budget for it, and then it is applied to it, so you don't know if you're getting it, so we have to put some funds. But, so for the secretary, and what's the title to be determined? Why is there a second title? We need, an explanation for the
Well,
second
and I
title.
want to know what the two, yeah.
One is the secretary to the body.
And then, why would they need anything in addition to a secretary?
Yeah, that's what, Joy, so could you, the second title?
Why wouldn't it just be
One person.
one person? Exactly.
That's what we all asking. We all asking the same question.
It's not even 9:30 yet.
You know, we're halfway through the year. You could go ahead and make it $5,000
Yeah, so
budget for the department and still be reasonably covered. It's just a suggestion.
I would say take out the second position,
Yeah.
and then if they need to come back, let them come back.
Yeah.
Because what-
5,000.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2,500 for the
Strip it.
for the secretary,
Strip it.
So you're just gonna budget 2,500?
for the secretary,
Right.
yeah, and remove the second line item. So- And now that O&E, they asked for 5,000. So it's so they asked for just, well,
I would reduce that to 1,000
Me too.
because envelopes and stuff they can get from other departments if they need them.
so a total of 1,000? For the-
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Council President,
Councilman Cole.
why are we reducing? I understand what everyone is saying. Reducing the secretary to 2,500, but why is the secretary to other boards?
Just because it's only needed for half a year. So the salary would be 5,000, but for the funding for this year would be 2,500.
Probably will use that because it hasn't been
So-
hired yet.
Yeah. But the other, it's still 5,000 annually, but nobody's been appointed to that position yet.
And they won't
Okay.
be until the budget's approved.
All right, got you.
And so for the O&E, we're saying 1,000.
Yes.
Council President?
Ms. Bradshaw, yes.
Yes. Under page 45, professional services, the $6,000. Has anyone become aware of what that might have been considered for?
We took everything out and just put 1,000 in total for O&E.
I'm asking because in historic preservation committees, groups, sometimes there's cost to be able to do some of those things. And so I was wondering if we had any ideas what the 6,000 might have been intended for, because that was a little high.
We just took it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
I know you
Yeah,
took
but
it out, but I was
she's just
asking,
curious.
you know.
Wanting to
She's
know the
curious.
rationale.
And no
Yeah.
rationale was given, so
Okay.
they have
It might
1,000.
be grant writing services, but they need to use what we have.
Right. True that.
with the $1,000 that they had.
That's right.
There's a whole bunch of grant writers.
And then 46, the Milburn code officials, 36,400.
What is that?
That is an interlocal service agreement with the city of Milburn.
And where is the person's name? Who is that?
That's Paul,
You
isn't
go
it?
back to code
Paul.
official, you'll see him over there. Let me see.
Budget sheet 22.
Budget sheet 22?
See it at the bottom?
No, actually, you won't see him over there. What's his name?
Where am I going to see him?
Is it, does Milburn supply him and we just pay it?
No,
We
we
pay-
supply him and they pay
pay.
us.
Okay.
So this is for the salaries that are paid for by Milburn for our employees.
Okay.
Oh,
So we need this, who's doing this? Who's the person?
I can't remember.
Is it Paul?
Right.
I don't think it's Paul.
Is it,
I think
Ciabatta?
I think it's Fire Road.
Is Ciabatta?
Yeah, I think it's Ciabatta.
we can't
Okay,
change
I
it
wanna see
anyway
about
if it's
that.
contractual, right?
I want to see about that.
Right.
rock and roll.
It's an agreement with
Boom.
another municipality.
Can't change it.
So that's money we are receiving
We receive it and we pay it out.
to,
The fire, I think it's the fire subcode official.
To the person.
He works for both towns, He works through the city of Orange. Their town pays us to pay him. That's how an interlocal service agreement ends up
So the
working.
50, isn't he the guy that was making the 57,000?
Not for the, do you think it's, Mr. Ciavata for this position?
I think it's fire subcode.
Cut into my fried chicken.
Can we get clarification on that?
Yes.
Because if he's in our budget, he's not.
No, he
in our
works for
budget
both
for 12.
towns. He works for both towns.
See if it's in the, yeah.
He's in our budget for 12,793.
Yeah.
For what? Interlocal services?
No, for
No,
his work
for-
for the city.
Oh, Bob said, did he have a
For
title
Orange.
next to him?
Yeah,
Fire
fire
subcode.
subcode. That's what I'm saying. I think it's
Okay.
the fire subcode.
Okay.
So why would he have a contract directly with them without getting us involved?
No, it's through us.
But I mean, are we making any money on that?
The amount that Milburn pays us covers some operating or
So we're
administrative.
getting a benefit out of that.
A little bit. I wouldn't say a lot. You don't want to really get a lot out of an interlocal agreement, but we share the individual.
Council President,
Ms. Bradshaw?
the general revenue for the interlocal service agreement for Milburn is 36.4 on the revenue side.
Right.
On the
Yeah,
revenue,
you put it in the same amount on both
What we
sides.
get, we pay out.
so it kind of balances out.
Zero. Although I don't think it's real, I think it's a deficit. I said, I mean, I know the net effect is zero, so what we get in, we pay out essentially. But it actually might end up being more of a deficit than,
Why? Because of benefits? or
because
something?
we're still processing all of this.
And it worked with something? No.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what I was saying. What benefit or is it to us?
Let me look at the budget up here.
When you share service, it's supposed to be a benefit. Somebody should get a reduction we should get a reduction
No, if
or
you-
see,
It's a shared
If you
cost.
look at sheet 7 under tab 1,
That's what I just read.
and look at the amount that was realized.
4,000 more? 40,000.
You get $3,600.
No, we look at the right-hand column.
That's what I said, 40. So 3,600 net.
Before we go to section 8, Ms. Bradshaw, do you have any additional recommendations?
No, thank you. No, I think we're good. Thank you.
You said no, we don't?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh,
No.
you're coming, okay.
Madam President, I want to clarify something on shared services. Councilman Corbett brought it up, and he was on the board then.
You got talking to the mic, Mr.
yeah.
Griffin, okay.
What's your name?
Arthur Griffa,
Your name is?
my name. Who am I? I'm your nemesis, or whatever. But a little humor here at this time of night, folks. But no, just answer. And I don't know if you remember this, Councilman. We had talked about shared services, and I guess we do have it as far as the Recreation Department is concerned and the Board of Education. Second was, we talked about all the printing and the publications for the city for all of its departments. There was a 1.5 sheet proposal about the fact that we had all the technology at the school board to do this. The kids were doing the printing. Mr. Markell was there. He is recently retired, but did a lot of this stuff. In fact, they did a lot of outside printing for organizations, and a few organizations that they were able to bring, a few dollars into the kids. I think this can be brought up again with the superintendent of schools. It's a benefit where all our young people are getting experience of doing printing, advertising. We even try to have kind of set up their own accounting program with when the folks help them. And I think this would be a benefit to the city and to the school system in that. Now, the reason it didn't go through, one reason said, well, you know, we're cutting businessmen out of making a profit or something like that. Well, a little bit of printing done by the city compared to what other people do, I don't think it's anything. But I would suggest that you take a look at that, and you can probably save some money and both the school system and the city at this. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention.
Hey, listen, I agree with you 1,000%. It's just a matter of folks putting their egos aside to make it happen. That's always the issue.
Yeah, and I know they're big egos right
Yes,
now that we
indeed.
got to put
Right. It's
aside.
just a matter of
We don't
putting-
have small ones in.
Well, it still could happen, though.
Yeah, but it would be a benefit. Look, and it's also, you know, experience of the young people we get.
That's right.
Yeah.
Great equipment. But
Okay.
the clerk is going to contact superintendent of schools to start facilitating that conversation.
Is that about my flyers too?
And I'm sure she should have that conversation, because I don't understand it. It's a very valid question.
It becomes a political issue.
Did Ms. Bradshaw, did you? Yes.
No, for the shared services?
No. Do you have anything more to say regarding section 7?
8.
8.
I mean 7. Sorry, 7.
The 7th Finance
You're right.
Department?
So we also leave behind section 7.
Is that Finance Department?
No, that was what we just.
The shared services?
No, that was inspection and license.
Nope. No, thank you. I'm done.
Okay. We're in the finance department now.
Okay.
Doing good, guys. Salary and wages. You gotta remove the money from Mr. Scary. Sorry.
No, actually, we came across as, I don't know where I put it, I think it's on my desk somewhere, but for any contractual raises for any unions cannot be denied to the clerk, was it the clerk, the tax collector, the tax assessor, and the CFO?
So you don't care about the rest of them, but yours.
No, it's what it says in the statute, I'm sorry, you know?
Like, look, I'm gonna research on my salary.
I'm sorry.
I would think.
Huh?
Let me double check.
Right.
He's telling me no.
But my
We
only
on- we on-
question was,
Finance department?
it's the directors
yeah.
they have to bring before the
Finance.
council for approval. But for the statutory position, for the statutories. All right, now you cancel yourself out. Okay. All right.
It's 12 tabs.
Can you tell me those positions
Wait, where you-
again?
Right.
Statutory CFO clerk and
Assessor,
tax collector. So,
assessor, collector, clerk. and
Mr. Harris,
Madam President.
I sit between two similar opinions with a caveat, I guess. So,
You
could you
can read
do
it
the
any way you want to, I don't care.
Can you, is the process that the statutory positions are given the contractual raises upon directors getting that?
Yes.
Okay. And can you just give that, so we can have that?
That is
because actually
correct.
Directors, because one of the things that we had to stand on.
If you increase, yes, if
they
you
never
increase the
came back for us
directors,
for
you
the
have to
directors.
increase the statutory officers.
But the directors have, the administration has to bring a request to the council for the.
That is correct.
Okay, so
That is
that's
correct.
not, but can you have that so,
And likewise, as a statutory officer, I would say it also applies vice versa. If the salaries are decreased for all of the department heads and directors, it would apply to the statutory officers too, much to my detriment. But
Yeah.
Okay,
It's not the way I read it.
We have a summary.
I'd like to
Council
read it
President.
again.
Can we have a summary recap on what everybody just got finished talking about?
if you remember, and we kept.
One person
I'm
give
gonna
us
tell
a
you, so
summary.
you remember that the directors, so the council has only, I think towards the beginning of the year, the council agreed on OMEBA's contract rates.
Correct.
The administration took it upon himself to give all of the directors that same contractual raise without bringing that request before council.
Okay.
We got to page 47, and as we have done with the previous chapter, stated that on this page, that contractual raise had to be removed for the CFO, which is Ms. Lascari. Ms. Lascari then said to me, stated for the record that statutory officers, which is the CFO, the tax collector, what was the third one?
Tax assessor and the clerk. The
The
assessor and the
CFO,
clerk.
taxes,
Yeah.
collected and that they cannot be denied the raise that's given to the directors. But we have not granted a raise to the directors yet, so that's the point. And so we're just putting on the record.
Well,
Councilwoman Neeson.
is it customary that one step could warrant a $15,000 raise?
Pay equity increase. It's a pay equity increase. So that is based on the title and what other CFOs are getting. So that wasn't the 2%. That was based on bringing her up to other salaries of CFOs.
Based on whose authority, though?
Oh, the mayor's. This right here is administrative.
Based on what municipality
And what
the
criteria?
size.
And what
Yes.
criteria?
It's pay equity based on other CFOs. What's the pay range to, is the CFO, do you have that, the CFOs? In that, when you've got all of the other, cause I handed them all out. No? You don't see the directors?
See, we need to check to see if that's customary and all. And
But it's administrative, so you,
You know, why don't the council go and see what other council members make in other municipalities?
no, you need a director one. This is the old one. There's a resolution that I handed out with all the directors' raises. And there's a pay range.
I'm sorry.
Can you look up the ordinance with the director's pay? The salary ordinance that we did? Can you look that up? So
these joint raises and we're 2.2 square miles. I don't understand it.
But council, if the pay range for directors is between 20 and 40, the administration, well, actually, ours actually says that there are some restrictions as to what the mayor could pay within that range. But it should be somewhere between 20 and 40. It shouldn't be 45. Kevin, so let's come back to it. But so this one, so the secretary, so Adhill and Davis are in the Amoeba?
They're not the only ones.
No, I see the other
yeah.
one.
Council President, before you leave this,
He's
I'm a little
looking up
stuck on-
he's looking up the ordinance. That's why I said,
Because I want to say, if this being true that a step could be 15,000, then if I was Director Mays, I'd have a problem with that.
well,
Should we bring him up to what all the rest of the municipalities? are
we
making?
didn't do it, Councilwoman. The administration did it.
I understand that. Doesn't mean we can't question it.
But we can't, I'm not saying you can't question it, but we didn't do it.
I mean, if that's the way the game is going to be played, we need to make the playing field level for everybody.
I suggest we just keep mowing down this budget and stop trying to give Marty Mays a raise.
I didn't say give Marty a raise. I said
That's what we need to do.
If that was true, then everybody should have the same argument. I didn't say give anybody a raise.
Even the council members, for that matter.
Wow.
I mean, we can.
And my point was, if you're gonna treat them equitably, it needs to be either up or down.
Right.
It could be a decrease as well.
But the playing
It's
field's
across
the playing field's got to be level.
board, right.
Well, I think this is
That's
is this
what-
the only incident we're going to come across, this pay equity increase? This is isolated, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, can we talk about the other people on this
And he's
page?
pulling up the salary ordinance for the directors right
Get this
now.
rolling.
So, I'm sorry, so Adhill and Davis are your Amoeba members? Mr. Scarry?
Hill and Davis.
I'm not a, I know that some of these people are, I'm
No,
not
I'm just
sure
saying, at
exactly.
Hill and Davis, are they,
I think that Takesha is also still union.
no, I'm saying at
Yeah.
Hill and Davis, they are union members?
I think so.
Can you just verify that for us?
Okay.
Well, no, the contractual would be the 462 to 462, so the 15, when did they get hired? Why are they getting a step increase?
2014.
It's not right.
Why are they getting a step increase? Mr. Scarry?
That's what
I don't know the
King's
step
argument
schedule.
was.
But new employees don't, they get contractual raises, but not, what
They
kind of
just
step?
came
I don't
on
know
board
what-
and they get a step.
I don't know what the step schedule is.
What?
So what would the step be for? Because it would only be their contractual raises. Only person that gets steps other than that are the long-term employees with the longevity steps.
No,
Who else? gets-
longevity is different than steps.
But who else? What would these steps be for?
I'm not the one who put this thing together.
No, I'm
but
asking-
I understand what you're saying, right? I didn't
Okay.
read the contracts to determine what was supposed to happen. That's what an HR department is supposed to do.
Right.
Oh, Mr. Scary, you're getting tired. Okay, don't. Okay, so we got a
We can
question.
trust assured that Mr. Mapp didn't do it either.
Okay, so we got to trust check on those step increases.
Rest assured, he
The
don't.
contractual increases, and then we would take the contractual increase away from Ms. Lascari, and the equity, and Mr. Matt, we would take the contractual raise from him as well. So that 10,000 should come out for Ms. Lascari, the 13 for Mr. Matt, and then the 15 and 15 for at Hill and Davis. Did you find it, Mr. Harris?
Actually, I cannot access it on the website, Madam President, but I do have it saved.
Okay, so we'll come back to it. Over in the Finance Department, O&E,
I'm sorry, could you clarify
go back. On the,
what you were doing there with the equity?
we're
so that I
waiting
can
to,
record
we're
it.
waiting to see.
We're waiting? Okay.
Waiting to see what Mr. Harris has on the
Okay.
resolution, on the ordinance.
Okay.
So the two vacancies are staying?
I haven't
Please.
crossed out, Councilwoman. What does anybody else have?
I think we should cross them out.
Well, what do your notes do you have?
That don't have
My
anything.
note-
Don't
My
have
notes-
anything.
notes, I have a note here that says position of need. That's it.
Okay. Anybody else?
Well, they
Yes,
are
Council
very, very
President?
much needed.
I have that we
One
have
second, Ms.
reduced the
Bradshaw.
salary to 37,000
Consistent with
for those two. I don't know,
37K,
for the
37K?
two of them, they didn't say that we were deleting them.
Right.
But for this year, if we left it in, it would be 18.5 then. Not the whole 40. Because they're vacant positions.
So you can take them out.
I'm saying that
What's
if
the
we're gonna leave the
recommendation?
vacant
I think they did ask for an increase in
staff.
yes, in staffing and for this department.
Yeah.
I do recall that.
So it would only
But
be
I have
half.
a question. So now, if we're doing the HR department and we're doing, I feel like it might be duplicating some positions. We're doing HR, and then we're going to do these two additional.
In
Well,
finance.
well, keep in mind, now these individuals here that are listed are currently in the department. Is that correct, Ms. Lascari?
I have 2 temporary people who are working and have been working.
In addition to what you already have listed in this book, on this page.
Well, you could say that they're kind of filling in on the vacancies, but
Right.
until we get full hires. So.
That was going to be my point. Those positions are tentatively already in position, filled.
Right now.
Yes, they're tentatively being filled right now by temporary positions. So they're already using part of that 40,000 for each position.
They're what at 40,000?
They're using part of that 40,000 for those temps.
Well, no, we reduced it to 37.
Well, whatever it is, they're still using that money.
Council President,
Councilman Coley.
Mr. Sky, so what are those new people making? What are their base salaries? Do you know?
They're hourly. I don't know exactly.
And they work in your office and they work for you?
Mhm.
And you don't know their hourly rate?
Mm-mm.
What is? Oh, you don't know the hourly rate.
Mm-mm.
fact of the matter, those positions are filled. Though they may say not permanently, but you have people working in those positions as we speak.
No, we hear you loud and clear, Councilman.
All right. Okay.
Hear you loud and clear. I got you, Mr.
Say that
McCutcheon.
again. I didn't hear that. What did you say?
Those positions are filled.
Okay. So.
With temps.
Okay, so my only thought is that there is something very broken about our process if these are not really vacancies.
Well, it depends on when these were listed as vacant and when the positions were filled. If this budget was presented to us prior to those positions being filled, then it's accurate. But if it was filled before it came before the council, then you got some foul play going on.
Right, but and here's my concern, that we're spending money that's not even been appropriated.
Exactly.
That's
true.
So the process is a bit broken.
But that's nothing new.
Right.
It's been going on since you pick a date.
So we're going, the council's will is to leave the positions there at 37,000, council members?
20,000. Because they're talking 40 for the year.
But, okay, so versus is 37, then I would say go back to 18.5.
Okay, that's fine too.
All right, I have a council
Councilman
question.
Johnson Jr.
Is this a scenario where we can, the people that are in place that are working in the finance department, whether they temp or not, can we use these people for the rest of the year at their salary and look to be putting new hires in, unless you want to actually hire these particular people that are working right now as temps?
They're not available for full-time employment or long-term employment, but we do need people who can do the work that's required and not on a temporary basis. We need people who are going to stay there for the long term, take responsibility for work that needs to be done, and not have to be babysat all the time. I need some solid people in there, and you can't get solid people on small salary.
So when we made the recommendation to cut it to 37, that salary is too low?
I'm a little nervous about it, but it's okay.
That's again, putting the cart before the horse.
And my question is, if these people, if we're now appropriating for these positions, they're not going to come on full time, is what you're saying?
They're not.
So we're not going to pay any benefits to these people?
Correct, they're not on benefits.
So that's quite a bit of money
for part-time.
For the full-time, they're not getting that much. We're putting in there what we want as a salaried individual.
Right, but they're using temps.
We're using part of it for the temporary situation.
You're still getting this money. So if we approve this, they will become permanent employees.
Right.
Not those individuals, but somebody will become a permanent employee.
Right. So you get rid of those two and hire two more.
Correct.
And it's not the people.
Councilman,
So I mean, I can't help but to wonder if the temps came in fully understanding that it wasn't a temp to perm position.
They know that.
They know that.
you don't
Okay.
go to council. Council members, if you could just pause for a second, and regarding the salary, what's the range for the CFO?
Good evening, members of council. Kevin Harris, Legislative Research Officer. The salary range for the CFO, Director of Finance, and the CFO, as established by Ordinance 23 of 2013, the minimum is $65,000 annually. The maximum is $115,000 annually.
And what's the statement regarding?
When council enacted that ordinance in August of 2013, there was language that was added to the salary ordinance, and this is from Section 3 of Ordinance 23 of 2013. For current employees who are promoted or advanced into the positions listed in Exhibit A, which is the positions that are contained in the ordinance, salary shall be the minimum salary or an increase up to 5% of the minimum, whichever is greater. So if you already work for the city and you start in that position, it's either going to be the minimum or up to 5%. For employees who are hired or are newly hired directly from another municipality, county employment, or branch of New Jersey state government, the starting salary will normally be at the minimum salary range or up to a 15% increase of the minimum salary based on education and experience. However, a higher salary may be approved with the advice and consent of the governing body due to the particular qualifications of the selected candidate or the difficulty of recruitment. In no case may the employee be paid more than the maximum salary for the title.
So, for Mrs. Scary, the pay equity, they could have done it, but they would have to come back and ask this council, I think. Is that how you read it?
That's not how I heard it.
How do you read, Councilwoman?
I thought I heard that I guess the first portion applied to her since she is currently, at that time, she was an employee of the city. So the 5% of the base salary is what I heard applies to this situation because she was currently an employee. That's what I thought I heard. The second part is about a new employee that comes from outside and has a certain amount of skill set and education, and then we would do something commensurate with that particular individual. That's what I thought I heard.
But she hasn't changed type. So the 5% is basically from somebody going from position A to position B that's already in the municipality.
Correct. If you read that section of the statute, right, the first part says for current employees who are advanced or promoted to the position. So if I was fortunate enough to be appointed as the business administrator, being already an employee of the city, I would start at a salary of either the minimum salary or up to 5% of the minimum, increase of the minimum. If I was coming from another municipality into that position, then it could be the minimum salary, possibly up to 15%, or it could be an amount that exceeds that with the advice and consent of the governing body, but understanding that no one is going to receive more than the maximum salary.
And so Mrs. Scary was at 82, and they're bringing her up to 97. 65 to 115, so she's within the range, but it really doesn't speak to a pay equity increase. Now, I would think that would be the advice and consent of the council, and we were not asked. So what? And have you started getting paid based on the higher rate, Mrs.? You haven't got. You're still getting paid on the 2014 base.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, council members, where are we at? Mr. Harris, you at?
Council President, could I be serious about that salary?
Let me just see, Ms. Harris.
I was going to say, members of council, the state statute is New Jersey, and legal opinion should be gotten on this from the law department, but the state statute that references salaries for officers of municipalities is New Jersey Statute 40A:9-165, and it does state that statutory officers are entitled to increases that all directors and officers are receive unless there's a showing of good cause as to why it should be denied. So if you increase the directors and other officers in the municipality, statutory officers are supposed to get increased absent a showing of good cause as to why they shouldn't.
But we haven't gotten to the point where we gave any directors any increase yet. So.
Right, and I think are these apples and oranges, the pay equity as opposed to the increase? Are those two different things? It looks like it is on this page.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm saying I think the pay equity would probably come with the administration coming to the council stating this is why, and the council because it's within the range, but it's just a jump, so. Mr. Harris, can you talk to the administration, Mr. Smith, about that, opinion on that, please?
Yes, I will, Madam President, before the next meeting.
Any other questions on the salary page? We're going back? And then.
What are we doing with the vacancies?
I'm sorry. The vacancies, so we're doing 18.5, 18.5?
For those two
Councilmember,
for those two vacants.
Considered only a half a year being filled.
Oh,
So
right.
37, 37
Yeah.
would be more realistic, but of course you guys can do what you want to do.
Council members?
I didn't get it.
Right, it's, so 18.5 is looking at if there was nobody in that position, but as Councilman Corbett said, the people have already been in that position. So to put it at the 18.5, it would be underfunded before they start.
But we don't know what they're making, Council President.
Yeah, they're making 40.
I mean, as far as we know, they could be making minimum wage, or they could be making $30 an hour. We don't know.
And Mr. Scarry, you don't know. Can you get back to us on the hourly wage, please?
Until that happens, I think we ought to put it at the 18.5.
Okay. 18.5 until, okay. Mrs.
And even with that, I think we're being generous for temps.
Who's definitely not coming back? I mean, who's not going to be permanent?
Yeah, but I won't be able to replace them with a permanent person for a reasonable salary at 18.5.
For whatever reason, I don't think that's going to happen this year. That's just my gut feeling.
Yeah,
If I look at who's serving in those positions right now, my gut feeling tells me that that's not going to happen this year.
Well, one of them's already gone.
The other one's still there.
Yeah, that's one gone though.
Okay. Going back to the O&E, I had under employee training plus 6,500. Did anybody else have that? Council member, so that would have been, I'm sorry?
Under where?
Employee training.
Right.
Finance.
Plus 6,500?
That's what my notes say. Yeah, did anybody?
Plus 650.
Plus 650? Okay. Plus 650.
So the total was 6,500 instead of 6,000.
So the whole
Per-
total is 6.
Per Mr. Mapp,
6,500.
he asked for the increase.
And
Under professional services, didn't we move ballpoint payroll services under
Balance
contractual
point.
services?
yes, that's what I'll show. And did we move Edmonds up and Balance Point down, or just move Balance
Yeah,
Point
we
down?
moved Edmonds up to professional service and Balance Point down to contractual services.
Well, and Edmonds was already under professional services.
Well, one is finance, hardware, software, and maintenance. It's the same. So
Edmonds is under contractual services.
There's two different services, and yeah, it is confusing.
Moved it up, moved one
so
down.
Edmonds is really almost $12,000.
Yeah,
So Edmonds is $12,000 under financial services.
Mhm.
12,000, and Balance Point is 12,000 under contractual.
yeah, and we made a mistake on that calculation. It's actually more than that.
Let's
Balance
hear it.
Point is more than that.
Mm-hmm.
How much more?
Let's hear it.
It's actually about $1,000 per payroll. There's 26 payrolls in a year.
So it's double that amount.
Yeah, and plus the time and attendance module is another 2,500
Annual,
once a month.
2,500 a month,
A month, yeah.
5,000.
So we need another 30 for that.
Oh my gosh.
I didn't know about it until after this budget was put together.
Yeah,
Come clean.
I'm sorry. Who was just saying?
Yeah.
Councilman
Come.
Johnson, did you go ahead?
Yeah. Just get it all out and let's put the numbers on the piece of paper.
could you repeat that?
Yeah, please.
Could you repeat
The
that?
time
Mrs.
and I found out that the time and attendance module is about 2,500 a month.
3,000. There's
Which one is
36
Times
So that's 30,000. And then
under contractual service counts. 30,000 a year for time and attendance, and
the the payroll, the regular payroll services should be 2,600. I mean, 26,000.
26,000.
I can't speak correct. Yeah, I'm getting too tired.
So it's 56,000 for Balance Point.
Mm-hmm.
And when is the contract up for Balance Point?
I don't know, but so
Okay.
long as we're continuing to use the service, we
No,
got
I'm just as a note. I just wanted to know. I'm not saying. I just wanted to know is that
Net.
something that's average if you look at.
Oh,
other
yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Well, we've never had a time and attendance module before, so
Is this cheaper than ADP?
I don't know what ADP would have been if they had a time and attendance module. The $1,000 per payroll was, I'm trying to remember what ADP's bill was every payroll.
I think you just lost one of your clerks.
Just one?
Account
Both.
clerk.
I think you just lost both of your clerks.
Okay.
Wax on, wax off. Wax
And everything else under there is correct? The
Far
debt
as I know.
service, NJ?
Mm-hmm.
Megan, did you get all of that?
Yes.
Okay. And, Ms. Bradshaw, don't forget, and is the next page still finance or
That's the grant writer part.
the grant writer?
Grant writer audit.
And the audit is, I have a sign that says split with water.
It's, well, what do I have in water?
I have split with water. You got a note? Anybody have a note?
I'm sorry, what's the question?
Under audit, I have split with water. Does anybody have that note?
I don't have that note.
Well, I know water does need to pay for part of the auditing services, and there is 20,000 in water for auditing service, but this 120 is to cover just for the current fund portion,
Because it was,
the additional work that they had to do this year.
Well, we spent 98 last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, but we're appropriating 120 for this year.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Bradshaw, I'm sorry, you have one to say?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to go back a little bit to page, to the previous page of salary.
47?
Yes. Ms. Joy, I have a question for you. You started in 1980, correct? I mean, not 1980. What year did you start working with us?
No, that would be really,
Was it 3 years ago?
11?
was that what it was?
July
yeah,
2011.
yeah, 2011.
Could you tell us what your salary, your starting salary was, Joy?
80.
80,000?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I knew that information. I just wanted to share that her base is still at 82 after 3 years. That's just important information to know. The other thing I wanted to ask is, with the director's salary, the 111. Again, this is another one that just jumps so high. Miss Joy, do you know what Mr. Mapp's base salary was? I know the purchasing officer is there with it. Was his base salary for 2014? You know what that is by chance?
Was it
2013.
90?
90?
I think so.
Yeah, I think
Megan's
so.
looking at the
Oh,
book,
sorry.
yeah.
Thank you, Megan.
But
Yeah,
did
I
that
think it was
90 include that QPA? Or
No, it
was
was
broken
90
out?
plus QPA
Separate.
plus stipend for being a BA for 3 months.
And that stipend was how much for 3 months?
That was more than the finance.
There was 90 plus.
10 plus 10.
And he keeps the 10 for the 3 months of being a BA?
That's what's happened, yeah.
Okay.
He wasn't supposed to.
Just breathe, Larissa, breathe. Now, the next question is,
110, okay.
ladies and gentlemen, one of the things that we have seen over the last many years is that our corrective action plans, our policy and procedures, that is done in the finance department. We have not been able to get those done as well as we want because Ms. Joy basically told me she is responsible for this, but there's been a staffing issue and a timing issue. If these clerks or these individuals are going to be able to focus on getting our corrective action plans done and our policy and procedures a little bit more updated, I would strongly suggest that not only do we try to make that happen, that Joy, I also know that you don't have any direct reports, So I don't know whether through all of this we can orchestrate it so that the people who are responsible for those policy and procedures report to the person who actually is accountable for getting those done. And that is Ms. Joy, on the record. So I'm just pointing out some of the infrastructure that we have to deal with to get that state aid and to get some more money from the state would help if this finance department gets the funding. And indeed, they do what we think they should be doing in those categories. Thank you, Council President.
Thank you. Moving on to page 51, I see that the tax collector is 244, but I had a bottom number of 208. Does anybody else have that note? That look like it was, and then I have a note, Mrs. Smith, 1600. Nobody else has any notes
One of
on
the
the salary
your
and
budget
wages?
up here.
What about Carl Smith?
Yeah, that's on, yeah.
I have a
It looks like when I-
bi-weekly $800 for Carl Smith and
Oh, that's because of the, is that because he's consulting? Is that for the?
Correct.
Yeah, they said.
800, so $800 or 1,600, okay, 800 every 2 weeks for,
Well, he's not a consultant. He's still part-time, isn't he? He part-time?
I think it's,
So he's still on the salary and wage.
Mm-hmm. But not at that full rate, but when we get a seasoned tax collector, we'll need that funding in there for that, so.
So
Councilwoman.
I think
But
when I
he's
did the
still
total,
here,
I took
so
out the vacant.
we can't create the vacancy in his last paycheck, right?
We haven't gotten to his last paycheck yet,
Yeah.
But don't we still need to create a vacancy for tax
There's,
collector?
it's one there.
There is one there.
There's no salary,
It's
but
not
There's
there's,
funded.
salary
Yeah,
associated
it's not
with it.
funded.
but you won't end up paying him 71,000 this year either. So, well, I don't know. The contractual increase has to come out of Carl Smith and out of Jocelyn Winfield. And she's being paid a stipend of $7,500 for a stipend. Mrs. Scott?
I think that her original salary was based on her titles when she was in the finance department, and as an assistant collector, she would be entitled to more, and that's why that increase is shown there.
And those steps too. Or,
Can I ask a redundant question?
yes, sir.
How much duties does she have to be an acting tax collector if we're still retaining Carl Smith to be the tax collector? Well, what overlap of duties is she assuming that Carl's not handling?
She's actually doing all the day-to-day activity. And Carl, because he is a licensed tax collector, has to oversee what she does and sign off on everything.
And sign all the paperwork.
Mm-hmm. You need to have somebody to sign.
And the signature is Carl Smith.
Mm-hmm. Everything is still signed Carl Smith.
I'm sorry, Council
Councilwoman,
President,
go
what were you saying about
The contractual
and,
increases should be moved.
right. Did you say something about the steps?
While I was going down, the contractual increases should be moved from Carl Smith and Joshua Winfield. The steps, I need to understand what the steps are for. And
That step would have been received under her old title on the first day of the year. So that was already received.
for Joshua Winfield?
That step, yeah.
But what about the account clerk and the clerk typist?
Yes, they have steps coming due.
Okay. Council members, any questions?
And then the stipend?
That's for assistant tax collector. And she's entitled to it based on her doing the duties of assistant tax collector.
And I think that what happened here when I must have forgotten to cross out the 40 for the vacant position, or forgot to add it in and correct it on the top. So what I put into the budget was the 244, but like you're right, it says down there on the bottom 284. And that's the difference of the 40.
Okay. Council members, any questions before we go to page 52?
You explain how we coming up with the final number.
Yes.
Error. I just said that.
Repeat,
It's called being tired.
Okay, repeat that again, Mrs. Scott.
When I was putting this together, and we put in the vacant position, and it added up to 284, I forgot to change the top of the page to the 284, and I left it at the 244. And that's why there's a $40,000 difference between
Gotcha.
the bottom of the page and the top of the page.
Okay.
And what was put into the budget was the top of the page.
Right.
So it should be 284.
It would be more ideal if it was 284.
Was it?
But
Were we supposed to get a corrected page? I have that noted on this page.
well, I know I see that I have that note over there too. I just haven't had time to deal with it. Sorry.
Go on, Councilman Coley.
I think that we have the information that we want, though. Enough there to make a decision.
This vacant position, do we know if is it been filled right now?
For the account clerk?
Not that I know of.
For the tax collector.
Councilman Coley, account clerk or tax collector?
The
vacant position,
$40,000. That's the
The account clerk.
Account
clerk, right.
Okay, Mrs.
Account
Scary
clerk.
said no, not that
Okay.
she's aware of.
Okay.
So
Go ahead, Councilman.
So if it's not occupied right now, they're not going to get the 40. Should be more or less 20.
Take it down to 20?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And then we would have to put what's in the budget up 20 to 264 to
Right.
include that, because it wasn't included in the adding.
Councilman Johnson?
Will the vacancy be filled and Carl Smith still work here?
On the account clerk or the tax collector?
For tax collector? Because somebody
That's a
mentioned
diff-
something about his last salary or whatever.
You didn't get
I'm a little
You didn't
confused.
get to his last salary yet. 'Cause you
Okay,
gotta
but
fill-
he's bi-weekly at $800. Okay. And they're looking to fill the position before the year is out with the new
Supposedly,
tax
there's a job
collector.
ad supposed to be floating. I guess we need to check and make sure it's floating.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
Is there at,
Supposed to be a job ad floating for Carl Smith's for a
Oh, you mean
certified
it-
tax collector.
Yeah, there's an ad out, right? Is that what you meant? Yeah, and we probably should put something in there for somebody, because you're right, some of that remainder on Carl is going to be used for his payout.
That's why I think he needs to put some money in his tax collector, because if he hires, well, we gotta be able to pay him.
Mm-hmm.
Well, isn't that what the missing $40,000 is about?
No, that was the other account clerk vacancy.
That's for the account clerk, the
Yeah.
$40,000.
It would be probably
You're right,
more
it would
than
be
40
an error not to put in something
tax
in here
collector.
to
for the year.
cover if we hire
For
somebody,
the
if
year.
we're able to hire somebody.
Certainly be more than 40.
So I'm just concerned that Carl Smith is going to get paid for a couple of months while this new guy or new gal is working in this position.
transition?
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Are we going to, when
Well,
he
actually,
starts
that would
or
be an ideal
she starts,
situation.
does Carl stop?
It would be an ideal situation to have an overlap so that you have a transfer of information.
We have an assistant, and Carl,
know.
we have an assistant that's been going to be in the position 3/4 of a year. And Carl is certified just like the new person's coming in certified. We're going to run salaries for Carl for the rest of the year too? That doesn't make sense.
We shouldn't.
No.
Should be only maybe a month for the transition.
Should even
Yeah,
be.
I don't know what
The
this
assistant's
time-
already running the show.
That's right. So if she's already young, she should be able to transfer information to the new person that comes in, just as if Carl Smith was there, if she's paying attention.
She is paying attention, and
But the tax collector
Can I mention that
I'm
it's
sorry, Ms.
9:30?
Wu, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, that it's 9:30?
No,
my
we're just
eyes
gonna
are
finish
crossing.
this.
No, I
I'm
know.
sorry, we're just gonna finish this, I'm saying that. But Ms. Winfield cannot take the position of tax collector because she has to actually work in that position 5 years, correct? And not,
I don't know exactly what the regulations are
she has
on
to
that
have
one.
certifications.
She has to
and
get
time.
the certification, yeah.
Okay.
It would be in the city's best interest, even with her, her capabilities, and that we have a seasoned full-time tax collector. And you're right, we should have put some money in the budget for the contingency of hiring somebody at some point in the year. And I don't know how many days Carl has available that would be coming to him, so we don't really know how much of that 71 or 70 that he would be utilizing before the end of the year between his part-time position as it stands now and when he leaves. So there may be some money available there to help fund the new person. I would probably recommend putting 25 or 30 to fund the new
Tax collector.
tax collector.
Council members, are we agreeable with that 25 for the tax collector?
Well,
Councilman Coley?
yes, Council President.
I would say yes, as long as that is the intention of the administration to actually bring a tax collector, certified
I
tax
believe
collector
that
on
is the
board.
intention of this.
The reason I question is because it's not funded.
Well, that's my mistake,
Okay.
that it's not funded.
All right,
That's
then
what
I
I'm
say-
trying to tell you.
Then
that
I
there's
say
some
yes.
25K.
It is my opinion that it's 9:30.
Okay, we have a couple more. Are we almost finished this? It is. Do you want to, council members, do we want to stop here? Or
51.
just try to finish this section?
I think we should finish this section.
There's still a lot left to this
This
section.
section's huge.
Yes, it's a lot.
We're
It's a lot.
almost done. Just
If you don't finish this section, the next, I'm only doing 2 nights, right?
We-
And we
we-
still got 1, 2,
Okay.
3,
We're
4,
almost-
5,
let's
6
just push
sections to do.
so we got
So we've
that
done
two-
5.5.
We got 265 on page 52. Only change I see is 3,700. Is that correct?
Yes.
No changes on 53, correct?
I think
Yay,
we're good
no?
there.
Huh?
No,
It's just a
no
shuffle.
changes.
No, there's a statement on,
54.
page 55, the only thing, Mr. Rinaldi's, the contractual increase has to be removed.
Page 52. I'm sorry, under tax employee training. I have principles of municipal tax collection 1. I have that times 3, which is 3,300.
I got the same note.
Where you at? I'm sorry.
Tax employee training.
Right. So the total-
Principles of municipal tax collection 1.
so
1,100 times 3.
3,300.
Right. And that changes that to
4,800.
No, the 37 I thought was
30.
enough.
I have it as 37.
1,700.
Yes,
Okay, that's what I
3,700.
said. 37.
Yes.
Okay.
We talked about that?
Yeah, we did.
My bad. I was trying to find out the score of the games.
All right, 37.
Madam Clerk, can you get him another Snickers?
Stars, you the
All right. 3,700 on 52 was the only change. No change on 53. Nothing. There's only a statement on 54. Page 55. The contractual increase has to be removed. 56, no change. 57, no change. 58. I have under liability 4,000. Is there any other? I'm just
Yeah, we had to add the 4,000 for the Y.
add the 4,000.
Well,
So-
Council President,
Yes.
55 is the contract increases for all 3 people?
No, just the one.
Just the first.
Just who?
No, the 55, the contract has to be removed for Mr. Rinaldi or something.
Just Rinaldi?
Yes.
Okay.
Huh?
This is 60.
He's on the bottom.
Go ahead, Councilwoman. I'm sorry.
$64,000. You said?
Where, are you going back to page 58? What's the total, Joy, under liability?
604,000.
604, okay. I have a question about joint insurance fund. Did anybody have that? No?
I know that they're looking into it.
The joint
It
insurance
probably won't have much of an impact for this. It will not have an impact for this year. It will have an impact for the next year if we can get something.
Okay. On page 59, I have S Eagle 9,600 or something. I'm trying to read my notes. You said I have a note. No? No.
I have 10. I don't have any notes.
Okay, that could just be. Page 60, no changes. Page 61, no changes. Page 62, no changes. 63, I just have circled. Nobody else has that.
Not even funded, really.
Under
It's all
New Jersey
zeros.
Department of Transportation, nobody has anything? Is that something about Fuller Terrace or something?
Yeah, before
No.
the budget is finalized, if we have any more grants, they will be put into the budget, and I will make sure that you're fully aware of them, because they'll come to you with resolutions anyway, so.
Okay.
Council President,
Councilman Johnson.
New Jersey Transportation, various streets. That grant award letter generally hits in the month of May on the mayor's desk.
Okay.
So it is. We're in the month of May, so that very well may. We can ask Marty Mays about that. That
So-
generally hits the mayor's desk about May
Okay.
for 2015.
And summer food should be coming before us too. 64, nothing. 65, nothing.
Just Council President,
Yeah,
real quick.
Yes.
I just want to make a statement again that, just real quick, on 63 and 64, there just seems to be a lot of grants that just are not coming through for 2015.
They have not come through yet.
I hope they will. Thank
Okay,
you.
That's it. On 65, I crossed out the Circle of Excellence. The
Correct, yeah, it doesn't belong to us.
Wasn't in the binder. That's what I had.
CDB? Okay, so
Yeah.
the 24,000 is crossed out.
Yeah, it doesn't belong to us. There was an error.
On 66, I have a note about fire alarms. No?
Yeah, I know that they're working on it, but normally we fund the capital improvement fund to move it over to the capital, general capital fund, 400,000. This year we have 3 capital projects that were presented in the Public Works Department. One of them is the fire suppression system for the firehouse computer room. One is a fire alarm system for this building, and a third is for a keypad operated arm gate for this parking lot that would be operational during the day so that only employees can park in this parking lot. These would be capital projects that could be funded by the Capital Improvement Fund rather than by bond ordinance or any other financing. I'm still waiting to get full information from Marty over to bond council so that we can have a proper ordinance drawn up for these projects and that they would be funded from the Capital Improvement Fund. And what that would do, it would reduce the amount that we're sending over to the capital fund for future projects, for other future projects, but it would, be using that money right away this year. It's not going to really change anything substantially in this budget as it's drawn up. Still the same amount, total amount of money that we're intending to send over to the capital fund.
Okay. So that's still iffy.
Yeah.
Page 67, no changes. 68, no changes. 69, no changes.
Okay, you did a good job. You got through the whole thing.
And just wait 1 second before we finish. Ms. Bradshaw,
No, thank you.
there's nothing.
I make a motion.
A motion by Councilwoman Summers Johnson to adjourn, second by Councilwoman Butler.
She didn't say that. She just said she offered a motion.
I make a motion that we close the meeting.
To adjourn. And roll call, Councilman Coley.
Yes.
Councilman Corbett.
Yes.
Councilwoman Eason. Yes. Councilwoman Summers Johnson.
Yes.
Councilman Johnson Jr.,
Yes.
Councilman Gordon Butler,
Yes.
and I'm in favor as well.
Good job, everyone.